Hello. I was rushing to, I made it before 8:01. I was, whoops. And sorry, I got some feedback over here. New browsers do I have open? Too. I was trying to scarf down the rest of my dinner before I started. Just got back from working out, but happy Ansible night, everyone. People seem to be really excited about Ansible. More excited than I expected, out of all things, but it's Ansible night, so welcome. How's everybody doing tonight? Just getting all my screens and stuff set up. Let me close the door real quick. Yeah, how's everybody doing? I am doing good. I'm refreshed, ready to go. What's up, 88 Opus? What's up, Adam? Okay, so tonight we're actually going to get started pretty quickly. I'll pull up, as usual, just get an eye on the curriculum, talk about what we're going to go over tonight. We're actually going to reuse the same slides from last night. I'll pull them up, we'll run through them very quickly again, and then we'll get right on it. We'll hop straight into it. It was funny, this morning I was actually sitting down thinking, I was like, man, it's been a long time since I've like seriously used Ansible. So this is gonna be fun getting through it. So we're basically gonna be doing an intro to Ansible tonight. This is going to round out the major parts of our infrastructure as code section. And actually, let's go back and look at this roadmap.sh and kind of just look at the things that we've covered and kind of what we still need to cover off of this list. So roadmap.sh. What's up, Frequency Hop? How you doing? What's up, FMOMO? All right, so DevOps roadmap. We learned a programming language. We learned Go. Checkmark. That was the one that they advised. That's the one that I like the most as well. Good one to teach some great concepts. So we already gone over that. Understanding OS concepts. We learned Linux, and we learned about process management, virtualization, and all this stuff in here. So we've covered, we've dipped our toe into there. We've learned about managing servers as well, especially from the Linux section and from the AWS section as well. We went a little bit into networking, security protocols, things like SSH and HTTP and HTTPS, kind of learning about those things, understanding how they work. We learned about web servers, specifically Nginx. You can see here they have some other ones that we didn't talk about. I think these are the main ones we talked about, but they got a few more here. Let me get this off of here 1 second. Talk a little bit about load balancers, a little bit about firewalls, not a ton. We'll talk more about firewalls as we go along. And this is the piece that we're on now. We're in the infrastructure as code section. I guess technically, yeah, containers is infrastructure as code. That's what we're going into next, but I don't think I have it. I think I have that called out specifically because I think people look at containers very specifically, but we're in here. We were in the infrastructure provisioning yesterday with Terraform. We are in the configuration management section here with Ansible. And then we're actually going to hop straight into Docker next week and then Kubernetes as well. I think we have 2 parts Docker, 2 parts Kubernetes. Yep, 2 parts Docker, 2 parts Kubernetes or container orchestration, not just Kubernetes, but this day will be all Kubernetes. So we're rounding out this right here. Learn some CI/CD. Learn some monitoring. We've already learned a cloud provider, and we're really touching everything here. So we're just dipping our foot into each of the major concepts. So we're making progress, definitely making progress. Let's pull up the slides. Let's run through those real quick, just a quick refresher, so we can separate out what we learned last time from what we're about to learn today. And I think it'll be a good opportunity to really understand the difference between the tools of Terraform. We're actually going to use Terraform tonight. So we're going to use them in conjunction tonight, hopefully. Like I said, hopefully. I'm kind of, this one's going to be, I was real free flowing last time. There's a good guide that, like, I like to find guides when I can for things like this so that people can go back and follow them if they need more practice, but we're going to follow the guide just a bit, to kind of get us started the same way that we did Terraform last night and kind of veer off and kind of do what we do and have a little fun with it, kind of harken back to the things that we've already learned, to kind of make sense of things a little bit better. But let's hop into here. What are we looking at? We're looking at Terraform one, even though it says Terraform, I just named it that. This is the entire infrastructure as code one, minus containers, and I'll reshare that link. Wow, my internet is going slow. Well, my internet's not going slow, so the server is going slow again. No big deal. May have lost internet on my laptop, but no big deal. I have a mouse that will. I don't. 1 second. That Synergy server didn't work. Well, not didn't work. It just is acting up. Nope, I broke it. All right, there we go. You see here, I lost connection. The Wi-Fi over here isn't great. We'll be doing this bootcamp again. Kind of got busy with coaching and stuff. Yeah, actually, we will be doing this again. So the next iteration of this will actually be a more advanced bootcamp than this one. But this intro one is actually available on YouTube. If you do bang YouTube, all of them except for last week's are up. I still didn't upload them. I forgot. So you can catch up if you need to catch up and check these things out. But we'll be doing 3 kind of 12-week sessions a year with multiple boot camps. They're actually going to be more run than just 2 next time. Terrence is actually going to run one of them, but I'll tell you guys more about that later. But yeah, we will be doing some more advanced DevOps concepts in the second one, and then the third one. So we can run 3 of these a year, like I said. In the third one, I'm really going to try to make that purely project-based, not even project-based. Like, I'm gonna try to make that purely like job role-based, like scenario-based. Like, hey, we're coming in week one, day one, walking into a new project and kind of taking it from old, legacy infrastructure, legacy code into a bigger thing. And I think that's where I want this particular DevOps bootcamp to go. But we'll also be doing next time. We also will be doing a pure AWS one. So if you want to get really good at just AWS, I'm also going to be running the AWS one in conjunction with the like intermediate DevOps one next time. And I think we're also going to do a full like computer science one, specifically focusing on Golang, but we'll probably touch some other stuff. But there's a lot of information coming out about that pretty soon. All right, this is back up. Perfect. All right, so let's share this real quick. Now that we have a clean connection again, and then with the link, let's grab it. So if you already had the link from yesterday, this is in fact the exact same link. Again, also I'm going to try to mention it more and more. There's going to be information coming out specifically about deeper, more specific boot camps about the individual, not even boot camps, but workshops and sessions about the individual technologies that we're going through now. So like right now, I know we're just lightly touching on a lot of stuff. We did a very light intro to Terraform. We're going to do a pretty light intro to Ansible. And I know people want to go deeper into each of these things, and there will be sessions going much deeper. Right now, most of them are 1 to 2 days, and they should be rolling out. We'll probably start doing them as soon as this is over, as soon as this first 12-week one is over. So during that time in between boot camps, we'll be running a lot of them, but they will run throughout the year. Those won't stop during boot camps. Those will actually run during boot camps. They'll probably be either Friday or Saturday, like morning streams to give people some time, like early Saturday morning to kind of sit in and watch, but it'll be cool. But yeah, if anyone ever wants to volunteer, I actually really want to start doing some, even though I'm a Vim guy, I think it would be cool to do some mob programming, some pair programming, over VS Code. I think that would be really cool, and just kind of have us do some cool things together. I think will be exciting. Yes, they will all go out under the curriculum section of the site. There will also be another section for the workshops. And I will be blasting those on social media once they're up as well, and on here, just so people are aware of them. And again, hop in what you want to hop into, just get what you want out of it. Don't feel like you need to learn every single thing. Be strategic, because there's a lot of information and all this stuff. Whatever path you're trying to take, focus on a thing at a time. And focus on, like, pick up a concept, move on, get good at that, watch the next one. We'll be all good. Did I already share this? Yeah, I already shared it. Okay. All right, quick run through, real quick, of the infrastructure as code slides. Just because I think it's going to be good to hear it again. Again, infrastructure as code. This is the process of managing and provisioning computer data centers through machine readable definition files. We learned that firsthand last night with Terraform, we were able to write these configuration files, write these .tf files, and basically go ahead and execute them. And Amazon then interpreted those files. Well, Terraform spoke to Amazon's APIs and in turn delivered us back the infrastructure that we needed. So this is done using definition files rather than physical hardware configuration. So we didn't have to do any of that stuff manually. And we're going to be touching on that tonight. And I'll make sure you have a clear distinction when I'm doing one versus the other, because it can be a little bit confusing. But again, why infrastructure as code? It gives you some documentation. It gives you a way to do to consistently reuse code. So you'll see we wrote the code last night to spin up servers. At the end of the night, we actually destroyed all of our servers. I think we had about 5 servers. We destroyed them all. And tonight we're going to use the same thing. We're going to modify it a bit to spin up infrastructure again, so you can see how easy it is to just reuse these things and extend them to other environments. I think we haven't dove into that concept yet, but we'll get there eventually. Helps prevent configuration drift. So tonight specifically is what's going to show you how to prevent configuration drift. Ansible and configuration management tools such as Ansible solve this problem more than infrastructure provisioning tools like Terraform. Speed, very fast. You saw how fast we were able to spin up services. Tonight, you'll see how fast we're able to spin up services, and you'll see how fast we can configure our infrastructure and automated infrastructure. You can do this in an automated fashion. Pillars, infrastructure provisioning. Those are things like Terraform. Those are things like Pulumi, CloudFormation. There are a few others. And then server or software configuration management. These are the tools. Again, let's actually go back to the roadmap.sh and they also split these up. It's really funny because from all the examples that I had seen when people were talking about configuration management and infrastructure as code, people didn't split these things up. And I did a presentation and I started to split them up. And I was really glad to see on this roadmap that this didn't used to be split up. He used to have them all under the same thing, but as he's kind of expanded this, he split them up. And I like to see the infrastructure provisioner separate from the configuration management tools. And so these are those tools that we're talking about now. This is number 2 on this list, is the server. These are the things that are going to be used to manage the software on those servers, the users and things like that. And these are generally used to provision the actual infrastructure. There is some overlap here. You can actually use Ansible to provision some AWS services, and Chef and Puppet, they have, tools to be able to do some of that stuff, but they're not designed for that. And you can also use Terraform and CloudFormation to do some configuration of the actual software, the actual configuration of the server. But again, it's not built for that. These tools serve a pretty different purpose, or they're made to serve a different purpose. And then last, scripting. We've done scripting before. We talked about provisioners, which is these things. Configuration management. So again, in DevOps, configuration management is an automated method for maintaining computer systems and software in a known and consistent state. That's the biggest part. I should bold this. You want it to be in a known and consistent state. And these are the tools that people use to do it. Ansible is it might not be the most used, but it's kind of the most popular, most modern, the one that people are taking to if they have to choose one now. It's a tool that if you haven't already implemented one, generally I hear people picking Ansible for a number of reasons, and we'll talk about those tonight again. And the last slide says Terraform, let's get started. I should have added a new slide to say Ansible, let's get started, but we are about to get started here. So we're gonna be working off of 2 things tonight. Let me grab the first thing. Actually, let me here. SSD something, Ansible tutorial, this one. This is a really good guide. It's getting a little, actually, it's been updated, I think. It's a pretty good guide that we're gonna go over. And actually, maybe we'll type in, what happens if you do bang Ansible? It gives you something. Okay, bang Ansible gives you actually this guide right here, which is a good guide. We're gonna be using this in conjunction with the actual Ansible, getting started documentation to start getting familiar with the different pieces and getting up to speed, getting some stuff installed. Ansible, specifically with AWS, there's some extra stuff that I don't think any of these tutorials tell. We'll have to figure those things out from what I remember, but we'll get it all figured out. Again, tonight is also brought to you by LaCroix. We do have LaCroix back in here. I was really feeling lemony tonight. For dinner, I had some like lemon garlic shrimp and rice and broccoli, and the lemon LaCroix very nicely complemented the dinner. So that's why we got lemon LaCroix tonight. Actually, I've already gone through 2 cans of it because I was real thirsty after working out, and I didn't want to drink regular water because I was eating shrimp and I felt fancy, so I needed the sparkling water. So now that's why I have these to refresh me for the rest of the time. But okay, we're gonna have to do a lot here. Well, at least I remember last time this being a very long stream. I'm gonna still try to. I think I can get us out of here by 10:30. Hopefully. So let's see. We're not gonna do everything in this tutorial. Well, we might do everything in this tutorial. We're not gonna do everything in the getting started guide. Let me see what they go through. I don't even remember everything this guy goes through. Yeah, we won't do everything. We definitely won't do everything. There's a lot of stuff. But we'll get going. We'll talk about a lot of it though. So this is a beginner's tutorial. Really great. It'll take us step by step from the beginning, and we'll hop around. We'll fill in some gaps. Feel free to follow along if you want. We're going to be using, again, AWS to kind of get the service that we need. If you're using another service, that's fine. I'll tell you when you can substitute in your things. If you're using DigitalOcean or something like that, you can still use that as well. It just might have to change for the Terraform portion of things. So let's hop into some Terraform stuff. Let's get away from this Python stuff that we were doing last night. We did some Python. We started with object-oriented programming last night in Python. So if you're interested in Python, we are doing some more classes and object-oriented programming concepts tomorrow. Well, let's hop back into, we're gonna go into this Terraform folder again because we're gonna use these, we're gonna extend these to get some services. So let's read through this first. This tutorial requires the use of domain names. It does not. Well, it does, but we will get those for free from AWS. And this is where it's going to differ if you're using something else to set these things up, like DigitalOcean or something. So I'll tell you when we get there. Talks a little bit about infrastructure as code. We just talked about that. So if you want a refresher, you want to hear it from stated in a different way, you can go through that. But let's talk about what Ansible specifically is. So Ansible is an open source tool, open source IT configuration management. So we talked about configuration management, deployment, and orchestration tools. So orchestration tools, you'll hear this a lot more for like Docker things, like Docker orchestration tools. But it allows you again to control and orchestrate, different pieces of infrastructure. Makes it easy to kind of handle and manage those different pieces, and schedule things to happen, make things happen. So it does all these things. It empowers DevOps teams to define their infrastructure as code in a simple and declarative manner. Again, declarative versus imperative. That's the other way you can do it. But declarative means you get to describe the state that you want, and you don't need to tell it exactly what to do to get there. Ansible will determine what needs to be done to get to that end state, whereas imperative would be you telling it exactly what to do, kind of step by step. So you'll see people kind of talk about declarative versus imperative pretty often. Might also be something good to like be able to talk about in an interview. You might sound real smart, real cool. So maybe write that down, put a star next to it. Might help. A lot of people compare Ansible to similar tools like Chef or Puppet. We've already done that. It's very true. They all help automate provision infrastructure and provision infrastructure, but there are a few features that make me prefer Ansible over the others. And again, now we're going to get into probably some of this person's opinions. I generally agree with, I'm probably going to agree with these. I've heard very good arguments about for Chef and Puppet. So it all depends on your use case. But I think for today's infrastructures, Ansible is kind of nice. I actually probably, like today, if I had to choose one, I probably would not choose Ansible, because Ansible is the only one of these. Well, we'll get to the end and I'll tell you why I probably wouldn't choose Ansible, but Ansible is the tool that I think you should learn if you got to learn one of these. Ansible absolutely is something that I think you should learn. So Ansible, number one, the reason why people like Ansible the most is Ansible is agentless. What does that mean? Ansible does not need any agents to be installed on remote systems to be managed. So with things like Chef and like Puppet, you have like a control machine. It could be your computer. Usually it's another server. And then all the other servers that you need to be managed by Chef or Puppet, you have to go ahead and install agents. It's all a little application that runs on all the servers that you need managed. You've got to handle, getting those things installed. So you provision it, you provision the server. Now you got to go ahead and you have to get an agent installed on there and make sure that's up and running. That can cause some problems. What if there's a network blip? What if at the time you're going to install the Chef's website's down and your server can't get the package? And it's just it's extra overhead that you may not want to care about. You got to keep that agent up to date. A lot of stuff like that. So Ansible actually does not have an agent. It does not need this little running service on a remote server for you to be able to manage it. That means less maintenance overhead, which is very, very true. And performance issues, less maintenance overhead and performance issues. So it cuts down on those things. It uses a push-based approach. There's push and pull. So some services, their remote machines, pull data from a centralized server or centralized location and configure themselves accordingly. That agent will, gather that data and configure the server accordingly. But Ansible uses a push-based approach to leverage existing SSH connections to run tasks on remote managed hosts. So Ansible actually pushes updates out to the remote servers. That's why there doesn't need to be an agent running. Ansible has your centralized location where you are managing that configuration, and it gets pushed out to the remote machines. This sentence right here is exactly why I would not use it. Why I wouldn't use Ansible today if I have to use Ansible today. If I had to use a configuration management tool today. I've since learned that you don't. So this is existing SSH connections. I'd argue that in most systems, you no longer the way that I've grown to like to build things. You do not need SSH is not necessary. I would actually, for security reasons, and just because of the speed at which you can make changes and deploy new infrastructure. Machines do not need to be SSH into, so not having SSH connections is something that I like to implement now. So for that reason, I generally I would try not to use Ansible. I would use something that uses HTTPS or something, probably Chef. Even though, again, the overhead is less with Ansible. I like to disable SSH now. I do. It is blasphemy. I definitely understand. It's definitely blasphemy. But it's nice. It is nice not having to worry about that. It's really nice. So, but I do prefer from what I've used Chef by far more than I've used Ansible or Puppet. But I do prefer the way kind of Ansible works, the ideas behind the ideology, the way it works. I do prefer it, and I think it also works better I think it makes more sense because it's agentless. It makes more sense for the current state of things, for the cloud, the way things are provisioned now. Ansible just makes a little bit more sense because there's no agent and just because of the way that you actually have to do things. And it lets us know kind of how Chef and Puppet work. You got to install that agent on all the hosts and they pull changes. All right, so 2 is written in Python, which is a plus. It's a plus for sure. So Ansible is written in Python, which means installing and running Ansible in any Linux distribution is very easy. And only a little more difficult on OS X. So if people haven't run into any Python issues on OS X, you will run into Python issues on OS X. Maybe not now with, now you still will, but once they finally get all their stuff off of Python 2, which will take forever, you may get past that. But yeah, Linux, it works well with Python. It's pretty easy to install Python on Linux. It's relatively simple. I think that this is a shot actually at Chef for running with Ruby. Ruby's Ruby's a little bit harder to deal with than Python, in my experience. So I'm thinking it's a shot at that. I would prefer everything be written in Go. Well, not everything, but this be written in Go. So it's a popular language. There's a good chance that you're already familiar with it, or you can at least find enough resources online to start learning it. That is very true. It helps you to be able to troubleshoot things and make things happen because it's written in a popular language that has a lot of answers and support. You can learn Ansible in minutes. We're going to learn it in minutes. I mean, everything's technically minutes. But you can learn Ansible in minutes. That's why this person likes it. That's true. Pretty quick to learn. And then you can deploy infrastructure in record time. So yes, that is very true. Then they've got a little bit of some ads here if you need to do anything like that, but we do not need to do that. So first things they want us to do is install Ansible on your control machine. So what is a control machine or a control host? We need to have a centralized server that's going to control all of our remote servers. We could use our laptop, but I think today we're going to we're going to use Terraform to spin up a control host. And then I think we're going to use Terraform to also spin up the remote servers. I think we're going to do one control host. I think we're going to do three. We're going to start with 3 servers that we are going to manage. So let's get in quick. Let's write some Terraform first. To be able to spin up this infrastructure in case we need to do it again. And we can go ahead and get that started real quick. Let's see here. You can use Ansible to unstuck Puppet when it gets jammed. That's interesting. Never seen that before. Local machine, why it matters. Ansible isn't required on target. So it is Ansible versus Terraform. No, they can be used together. We're going to use them together tonight. They do different things. So Ansible doesn't really compete with Terraform. Ansible competes with things like Chef and Puppet and Salt Stack. But we're going to use them in conjunction tonight. We're going to use Terraform to provision the servers that we're going to manage with Ansible. So we're going to provision the infrastructure with Terraform, and we're going to manage the configuration of those servers with Ansible. So let's start out first with our Terraform stuff. Let's quickly just modify these things really quick. We're going to take this and redo everything. But that's not what I meant to do. What do I need? I need the vars. What's happening here? Where am I? Oh, I'm tripping. I'm not looking at where my I'm not looking at what is there we go. I wasn't looking at what was selected. So this is the Terraform code that we wrote 2 nights ago, and it spins up 5 web servers. Here's what we're gonna do tonight. We are gonna drop that down to 3 web servers. So to do that, all we need to do is delete this, and we're gonna rename them so that we know what's going on. So we're gonna say Ansible Web 1. Oh, I should have just did a find and replace. I thought there might be other masters in here. All right, so we're gonna have 3 web servers here, and that's gonna be great. This is gonna be used to spin those things up, just so we're not confused. This section is gonna spin up those web servers for us. And let's also spin up a control server resource here. It's gonna basically be this exact same thing, but we'll just call it something. We'll just call it something different. Let's go ahead and copy all of this. We don't really need all of this, but let's just copy it so we don't have to type in anything extra. This is gonna be an AWS instance. And this is gonna be Ansible control server. And you wouldn't want to do, we can delete this line. We don't need a count, we only need 1. We can use the same variables, and the tag here, we don't need to do this. We will just give it a name, and that name will be Ansible Ansible control. All right, here we go. So we basically took our existing thing that spun up 5 web servers. It's going to spin up 3 now instead of 5 because we removed some of the variables. And remember last time we made this dynamic, so we don't need to do anything over here. It'll loop through this list. And then we set up a control instance here. So the first thing that they're going to have us work on is installing Ansible on a control machine. So we're going to go ahead and log in and we're going to manually install this on our control machine. You can actually automate this in Terraform. We are not automating that. We're not automating that tonight. It's not on my GitHub, but I can push it to GitHub now. I'll push it to GitHub now exactly like this so you guys can take it. That's a good question there. This in man. Teams. CD Terraform. Where did I put the stuff from last time? The other DevOps stuff. We do serverless. Moved it somewhere. CD Go DevOps. Okay, I'll make a new repo for this real quick so you guys can have it. I do think it's fair. I think it is fair. Let's Terraform, and we'll just make a repo for this. Give it to you real quick. Come on, open up a new tab. So if you want to use this code to follow along tonight, you can steal it. Let's create a new repo. We really got to clean these up. I keep saying I'm gonna clean it up, but that day will come. Terraform. Description. Terraform. And Ansible stream resources, sure. Create a repository. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I actually don't want to do that. I should have added a git ignore. Let's remove them all. Git rm. What's up, Kid Shay? Thank you for the follow. I think you just followed. I think I heard the little beep. Can I just do cache dot? Oh, recursively. Not removing recursively without dash R. What? And the arm go, the dash R go after. All right. I'm only gonna give you guys the ec2.tf and the vars.tf. Terraform code updated with Ansible control and remote. Origin. What? Oh, you know what? Give me 1 second. 1 second. I started using, actually, let me push it with HTTPS. This will work. It's gonna make me hold on. We're almost there. I promise. Almost there. origin master. Okay, that was a lot of work, but it should be here now. So if you want this, now it is in my GitHub. You can go here, you can grab this. Kitche, we are building, Stephen E, I don't have the key on this machine yet because I just started using them again. Yeah. Oh, I just started using them for this account. But Kitche, we are building, we're going through a DevOps bootcamp. We're learning about infrastructure as code. Tonight, we're going to be learning about how to use Ansible to configure and manage servers. But right now, we're first using Terraform to build and provision those servers first so that we can manage them with Ansible. So if you need that code, hop in there and grab that. All right. So we have our control server. We have our Ansible web server instances. So it should give us 3 of these and 1 of these. Let's log into AWS really quick so that we can see it happen. I think we're using my personal one. I can't remember which account were we using. Well, there's going to be 0 running, which is good. I can tell you by doing mastermind stream. I don't know. I actually think it's my other one. Not forget my password. I just want to sign in. There we go. Bugs at mastermind. No. Phone. Oh no, hold on. I have my phone, but I'm having all kinds of phone. As you can see, my phone screen's off. It's coming back on though. It keeps dying. So there's something wrong with the battery. Got to take it to get fixed. Good old Pixel 4 is I think I dropped it too hard one day maybe or something. All right, it's back on already. That was fast. I really need to change up my second factor auth to a, I do have a YubiKey. I have a YubiKey, but I was worried about using it in case I wasn't in the same spot streaming all the time, but I don't see that happening. I don't see me being somewhere different. So let's enter this code. All right, we're in our console. Let's go ahead and let's deploy our servers. I'm pretty sure it goes here. So how do we deploy Terraform stuff? We can do a Terraform. First, we can validate it first, so we can do a format first. Make sure all of our stuff is fine. No changes. Looks like we wrote our code perfectly. We copied and pasted, so that helps. Let's validate it. Look at that. We have valid Terraform configuration. Let's plan it. All right, so what's it gonna do for us? It's gonna add 4 items here. We know we wanna add 4 things. It's gonna add the Ansible control server. It's gonna add 1 web server, 2 web servers, 3 web servers was up there. It's gonna add 4 things. Not gonna destroy anything, not gonna change anything. That feels right, so let's Terraform, apply this. I don't know why my brain broke a little bit right there. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Run another plan. And we're gonna go ahead and check out our stuff here. Maybe it is the other account. What's in S3? Oh yeah, it's definitely the other account. Okay. We're gonna have more buckets here than over there. The person. Okay, we gotta do one other thing. We made a mistake here. Not a mistake, but this will be good. This will be us learning a little bit more about Terraform. We do have to actually log into these servers. Check out these control ones. What's the problem that we have here? What do we know about Amazon Web Services and logging into them? You need to have a key pair. And we actually don't have a key pair for any of these. So we're gonna go ahead and add a key pair for these. So let's go ahead and do that really quick. I'm from EU, fellow watching on YouTube. Woo, that's late. Thank you for joining. What's up, Mighty Corona? Absolutely, I appreciate that. Thanks for tuning in. But yes, everything is on. Everything does go on YouTube. They get uploaded to YouTube. So if you ever miss them, if you ever can't watch them live because it's 2:35 in the morning, I respect that grind. You can watch. Feel free to watch the YouTube stream. They usually go up at the end of the week. I still didn't even put up last week's, but they're ready. They are rendered out. So they'll be all up pretty soon. I might put all these out. I might download these and render these out too and just put them all up together. All right, so we got our servers here. We need to actually add in some keys here. So let's go into the Terraform. I don't know what the key is for adding a key. Terraform, AWS provider. We know we are using the EC2 instance, EC2 resource. So we want to go down to the instance section and we want to figure out how to grab the key name. Optional key name, we can define our key pair resource. And so we have some keys in here that we've already been using. And let's see over here, key pairs. So you can see the ones that we have in here. Is cloud the only one that I have? And I should have this one locally. Pretty sure. Let's go ahead and make sure we have this locally. I think I usually put this in here. I think I have this. But I had a AWS. Back one more. Ooh, that was bad. Oh yeah, there we go. AWS keys. Okay, and I have the cloud.pim right here. So cool. So we will use that. So let's look at what they have. We have this cloud key pair that we've been using. And for key pairs, we just need to do key name. So let's go ahead and add that and see if this works for us. All right. And we can do it with another variable. We did variables for everything else. So let's add in a new variable. Let's call it key pair. Actually, let's call it key name. I think it's a little bit better. All right, and we're gonna default this to cloud because that's what ours is called. Cloud, close it. All right, and then over here, we need to add it to both the instance because we need to log into the instance. And we're actually gonna need, the instance is gonna be, Ansible uses SSH, so we're gonna need this control server to be able to log into the remote servers. So we'll just use the same key for both of them. We'll move the key up to the server. Doesn't really matter. But what was the name? I forgot already. Why did it, oh, key name, key underscore name. So let's go key underscore name equals, and then we want to do var dot key name. All right, var dot key name should fill that in. And we also need this line. Yank it and paste it right here. So this key should get applied to both the Ansible control server as well as the cloud server instances, the web server instances. Save both of these. Again, let's run through our process just so we can get practice doing that. Formatting looks good. Validate, make sure we're still good. Still have valid Terraform code or configuration. Plan it just so we can just see what's going to change. I know I'm going through this part fast because I want to get to the Ansible piece. So don't get too hung up on exactly what I'm doing. Again, knowing what Terraform does is what is important. And tonight's focus is really on Ansible. So don't get too caught up if right now, that's why I'm going so fast right now, just so we can get to the actual Ansible portion. So looks like we're gonna 4 to add, 0 to change, 4 to destroy. Why are we destroying 4 things? Whenever you add in a new key pair, that is a change that cannot be done in place. You can see here it says when you add a key name, it forces a replacement. So it's going to tear those servers down and give us 4 new ones. Let's go ahead and apply that. All right, so we're really getting some good use out of Terraform right now. We're using it to make quick changes. Go back to EC2 and watch it do its thing. You can see it's shutting all of these that had already spun up down. And once it does that, it should go ahead and start giving us some new servers. Yeah, so I've used Vim for a long time for the basics. Usually, you log into a server, VI is available for you. So I use it to do some basic editing, and I use it a lot. So I have a lot of the core Vim concepts down, but I've been picking up more and more Vim tools and shortcuts and secrets, and it really is like, you invest the time, you're willing to invest the time. It's amazing. It really is. And I plan on getting really good at it. It's something I want to get really good at, just because even with just the bit that I do know, things work out really well. The only thing I don't like is the problem is that VS Code, it used to be super duper important, because you really were going to be logging into systems, and you really wouldn't have access to anything else. Nowadays things are a little bit different, and just the creature comforts that some of the IDEs and stuff provide is amazing. But I don't know, it's also helped me be yes, you can get code completion, you can get all the stuff that you get inside of VS Code and other stuff, but I've been opting to not do those things, and it's made me better at kind of remembering certain syntaxes. It's made me more comfortable, at least less reliant on auto-completion. Even though auto-completion is great, I can still use auto-completion when I need it, but I don't have it kind of suggesting by default, which is nice. But again, it's all a matter of preference. Not necessary, but I would recommend learning how to use it. So it's going ahead, it's replacing these instances. It's going to take a little bit for it to do that. Yeah, I mean, we did go to that guy's stream, and he was building a text editor. He was building his own text editor, and he was building it in Nano, and he was using Nano like people use Vim. He had all the key bindings, and I don't know how he was moving that fast. It's pretty impressive. You can just use what works. Definitely use what works. We have found several places in my code where Word would have fixed my, syntax and spell correction would have been helpful. Microsoft Word would have helped out in these scenarios. And I do think I think it might be a great, that would be a great conference talk to talk about why Microsoft Word is in fact a valuable text editor, even though it is certainly not. But it would be interesting. Maybe one day we'll try to write a whole program in it's going to be bad in Microsoft Word. That would be very interesting. There's probably problems with line endings and all kinds of stuff, but it might be fun. Okay. I forgot these replaces take so long, but it is all good. So once this gets up, we'll be ready to actually get our control machine installed. Again, control machine is important to know. Just to know, this is where your machine that's going to be managing all of your remote machines, where the centralized configuration is going to be, is this control machine. It can absolutely be your laptop. You do not need to do what I'm doing now. If you're using AWS, do be careful. If you are building things inside of the VPC that we built previously, where it only has kind of that internal networking, then you will not be able to access those things. But yeah, you got to be careful with networking sometimes. But you can use your own computer to do this if you'd like. So we're gonna install that, and then we're gonna jump right into getting Ansible set up. There's a little bit of setup you have to do to tell Ansible, tell your control server what servers it's supposed to be managing. That's called an inventory file. We'll get into inventory files and how to set that up. We're also going to use our inventory file to be able to connect via SSH via these things. We might have to modify some security groups and stuff as well, but we'll see. We'll get in there as soon as all of our stuff is in fact up. Down just a bit. How are you? I'm good. I'm definitely good. How experienced are you at coding? I don't know. That's always an interesting question to me because I'm not a developer. Uptime, we started right at 8 p.m. So we've been up for about 51 minutes. Experience at coding, I like, because I have a systems administration background, like usually when people ask that, like you've been diving into one language for a long amount of time. I've kind of dabbled in a lot of different things. I probably say I have a legitimate 5 or 6 years of coding experience, like hands-on, like on job, like real coding experience, probably 5 or 6 years. Probably about 9 years of 8 or 9 years of like industry experience, but probably only about 5 years of coding, of real coding experience. A lot of bash stuff before that, but yeah. Also, if you're still on Ubuntu 16.04, do distro upgrade. Yeah, I'm actually really excited about 20.04 because one of the things that I hate about the current version of Ubuntu period, is like the theming. Like the theming doesn't look like, it doesn't look good. And I understand, you can change it yourself, but like, I don't know, they need some more modern design principles, and they're incorporating that in 20.04. So that'll be good. I'm a developer learning some DevOps. I think developers make the best DevOps engineers. I know I shouldn't be saying statements like that, but yeah. Yes, my intern yesterday, Terrence, who you'll see more often, he's a pure software developer. The project that he worked on most recently is all Golang stuff. Like he's a pure software dev. So that's why he's gonna be in on a lot of the coding, a lot of the specific software development things, just because he has more of expertise there. But yeah, we'll be tag teaming those things, just so you can get some more insight on those things. Just because I'm not an expert. I try to bring you guys as much as I can, but is a lot of different things. So he'll help out there as well. Just curious on your opinion, breadth or depth in a dev career. So I think you have to go breadth first. I think you should go breadth first. To one, it'll help you land a job. If you go wide, it'll help you land a job, as well as help you start to learn where you really want to focus. And as you're growing up the career ladder, that's when you should dive deeper. You should pick something, dive deeper into it, and kind of specialize. It's kind of a weird thing that happens. Like you kind of go wide, then you kind of go skinny, and then I feel like you kind of go wide again. I think the traditional career path, I think that's kind of what happens. But yeah, go wide first, breadth first, then depth. Once you already have a job or you've kind of already started your career path, then I would focus in on something very specific. Can you explain plainly what you do as a Linux admin? So when I was just a Linux admin, I did basically, I worked at both times. I worked at web hosting companies. So we would have thousands and thousands of servers, and we would do, again, performance tuning on them. We would respond to issues to, high CPU usage. We would respond to high, disk space, things like that. We would provision, partition drives and, add new things to servers. We would actually rack and unrack servers and plug them up, which was super annoying days that you had to be in the data center. We didn't always have to be in the data center. We kind of did a little rotation there. User account management, stuff like that. Like, like making sure, maintenance, making sure application services and things are up to date. Security patches, things like that. So yeah, just when a company has a lot of systems, a lot of servers that are linked, you're just kind of the person that maintains their operation. So it could be networking, it can be you parsing through logs trying to figure out what's going on, just a lot of command line stuff, just making sure like you're really taking care of pets, like you're just You're making sure the servers aren't flashing red lights on your monitoring platform and stuff. So that's kind of what we did there. Okay. I feel like DevOps is getting crazy with the Kubernetes and Docker. I agree. We'll talk about that a lot. I have some strong feelings about Kubernetes. I love Docker. I don't not love Kubernetes. I just think that there's some interesting conversations around it that are pretty weird. But all right, all of our servers should be up now, which is great. Okay, so we have our control and we have our 3 web servers. It looks like, can I have a control machine as my PC? Yes, you can have Mighty Corona. You can absolutely use your own computer as the control machine. You may run into some networking issues, which will probably be fine, and have your remote machines on AWS. That you can absolutely do that. So let's get set up. Let's get logged into our control machine and let's get this stuff installed. So how do we get logged in here? We're going to use SSH and we're going to use our key. So in case I'll go over here in case we need to do anything else with Terraform. iCloud. Our user is Ubuntu because we're using Ubuntu servers. If you decided to use a different AMI, a different machine image, you need to use whatever user is proper for that. Most other distributions, I think now it is EC2-user. But if you're using Ubuntu, if you're using the files that we use, you need to do this. Here, you need to use Ubuntu as the user and grab the DNS address here. Did I not grab the whole thing? Oh, actually, did it not get tagged? Is the security group not? That's gonna be whack. It didn't give it a default security group that has everything. It allows all traffic. Oh, outbound. Oh, okay. So we're gonna edit this. We could set up the security group inside. We should actually set up the security group inside of Terraform, but we're not going to. Basically, it's not letting me log in because by default, because I didn't specify a security group, it gave it the VPC's default security group, which allows any traffic from any server that is in that security group. But we are not in that security group, so we're gonna need to be able to SSH into this. We have a key to secure it, so I will say anyone can log into it. You guys don't have my key, so you can't log into it. So that is why it didn't work. But we can do this. It says yes. Now we're logged in. So we're in here. Oh, this is interesting. No warranty. Okay. So let's go ahead and actually start running through these guides here. So actually, I gave you guys this one. Again, if you want the guide, you can do ! Ansible in the chat. But we're also going to pull up the Ansible documentation. Just so we can refer to some things as we're getting started. I think that the documentation is decent. And we can find out some information here, but mostly we'll be going off of this. So let's get this installed. You can use the package manager. This should still be fine. This should give us, using this PPA, it should give us the one for ours. Since we are using Ubuntu, this should be fine. So we'll copy and paste in the stuff here. We already have it, which is nice. Already the latest version. We'll just run through, add in this PPA. Whoa. Copy. What's up, Baskervilles? Welcome. Thank you for the follow. So we'll get that PPA installed. A PPA is just going to be, it's going to be a package. I think we talked about it a bit. It's going to be a package that's going to allow us to use our package manager to retrieve this software at a different location, or it adds in a mirror basically for a place that we can retrieve this information. So after you add that, we got to update. That's probably the first thing I should have done, but it'd be fine. And then we can do sudo apt install Ansible. All right, so you can go through and run and just copy and paste these 4 things, run through and get them installed. Again, you can install this locally. If you're using your own computer, head over to Ansible's, like if you're on Windows or something, head over to Ansible's like getting started page, and I'm pretty sure there's a way to get it installed on any machine. I think it works on everything, Mac and Windows and Linux. So you probably can find it somewhere in here, probably in this installation guide. Yeah, here we go. I actually don't see Windows, so maybe Windows users are out of luck, maybe. That's interesting. Mac OS. Maybe you could install it from source on Windows, or you'll have to use the Windows subsystem for Linux. But I thought it worked on Windows, but I guess not. But that's probably where you can go. Sorry about that. If whoever asked Mighty Corona if you're using Windows, oh, you said you're using Ubuntu VM, so perfect. You should be good to go with exactly what we did already. All right, we got this installed. So our control server is already good to go. So now we're gonna get a guide to working with Ansible now that we have the control plane here. And you can see here, if I type in Ansible, I do have some options. It gives me some usage things here. I can do help just to kind of confirm that I have it, that you have it installed. Maybe can you do version? Nope. Can you do -- version? Yeah, so we're running Ansible 2.9.4. All good. Get a little bit of information about it as well. Cool. So, guide to working with Ansible. Now we're finally going to get hands-on. After an entire hour, we're going to get hands-on with Ansible. So, you're now up and running with Ansible in your system, which is otherwise known as the control host. That's in bold, so that is an important word. The control hosts. Your control host is the Ansible host. This guy needs to fix this. The control host is the Ansible host to dispatch tasks to the remote managed Ansible host. So basically, this is going to be the central location that you use to dispatch, to push. Remember, we said that Ansible uses a push method. We're going to take this control host and we're going to push out updates to all the other Ansible hosts. Before you start delegating tasks to a managed host, make sure you have non-root sudo enabled user on that host, which in AWS, we actually get that by default. The Ubuntu user becomes that by default. It's always a bad idea to connect to a remote VPS via a root user. Cool. So it's just saying hopefully you have a user set up that can use sudo to do root things rather than the root user itself. And that is for security reasons. It will work with the root user, but that's why they just said it's always a bad idea. It's a pretty bad idea. Okay, here we go. First big concept of Ansible. First thing you might want to write down. So Ansible inventory files. We know what inventory is. So Ansible inventory files list which host will receive commands from the control host. So this is how this inventory file is very important. It's how the control host knows what servers to dispatch things to push out information to. Seems pretty simple. Your control host needs to know what service it needs to manage, because there's no agents running on them, so there's no like auto discovery or anything. So you gotta tell it where to push things. The inventory can list individual hosts or group them under categories that you distinguish. We're gonna do the grouping tonight, but you can have individual hosts or you can group them in a different categories so that you can use them for different things. Lets us know that the default location for the inventory file is here, /etc Ansible host. So let's go and see if we can find this file, or let's take a look at this file. But it lets us know that we can change the location by uncommenting inventory parameter in this file. We're not going to worry about that. We don't need to build the typical or the default location is going to be fine for us. Now let's take a look at what we have here. So I'm just going to vim it. and I basically pasted in the path they gave me, /etc /ansible/host. So we're going to take a look at this file. Okay, so it looks like we got a bunch of comments here. Usually when you see these hashtags, pound signs, these are comments. So these are kind of notes to us. They're not being interpreted by this file. So a lot of words in here. We'll just keep scrolling down and see if there's anything here for us. We'll just run through it. It's not that long. It's only 44 lines. All comments, and it just looks like these are some examples for us. But we'll take a look at that in a second. Just want to see what it looked like by default. A typical inventory file can list the managed host either by IP address or by domain names. It's also possible to list one managed host in more than one group. Here's an example of listing 2 hosts under the web servers and DB servers category. So what does this mean? First, they said we can set up things inside of these little categories. So the way that you set up a category is that you would do these open and close brackets, and you would put the name in the middle. This is just an identifying name, so you can put whatever you need here. So this would be basically if I was managing a bunch of different type of servers. Maybe I was running an application server or a bunch of application servers, and maybe I was managing a bunch of middleware servers, and I was managing a bunch of database servers, and I had different configuration for all these things. This is how you would group which servers receive which configurations. So that part can be pretty important. Again, it's for the large scale management of lots of services. So we only have one group right now. Maybe to take this back to the things that we've already done before, maybe we would have one section, or maybe this would be load balancers, and maybe we would have 2 load balancer servers that would receive basically a configuration that installs Nginx and sets up the Nginx configuration to proxy back to whatever web servers that we're using. And then maybe we would have like a web servers pool down here with a bunch of servers in it that would be set up accordingly to, have the website on it, download the website files, install Nginx to point to the right place, put the files in /var www HTML. So you could split up the usage there. So that's really, really nice. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to set up this inventory file really quick. So have you ever done any front-end development? Yes, I have. So like I said, I manage an application team. Like I'm a tech lead for an application team, and I'm really bad at front-end development. The first thing I did when I became the lead was I had to change the color of a map, the contrast of the map. And I struggled using React to do that. I find it to be really difficult. But yes, I remember I used to think front-end dev work was really easy. I actually think front-end dev work is significantly harder than anything else, to be right now, but also just because of my unfamiliarity with it. I think CSS is the devil. It is very difficult. My mind does not work that way. So I'll be struggling for sure. I like to think there's a chance to become open source contributor. Always a chance to become an open source contributor. Just contribute to documentation or fix spelling mistakes. You're already a contributor if you do those things. So instead of just root doing it, your pseudo user doing it, which has the same privileges. Yes. 16 gigs of RAM for $79 a year. That doesn't seem like a good deal. It did not seem like a good deal. That was up here, right? Or maybe you got a different one, or maybe, right here, over here. Yeah, actually, that does seem like a good. That seems like that's a decent deal. 16 gigs of RAM on AWS is going to cost you $79 a day. Well, not a day, but it's gonna be pretty expensive. Well, no, it's a good deal. All right, cool. So let's set this up. So what is our inventory? Our inventory, the things that we need to manage are these web servers that we spun up. So let's go ahead, and I think they grouped together some things. They've already kind of have something we can steal, so we don't need to type. Oops, it's read only. Why is it read only? Because I don't know who it's owned by, but that's fine. We can sudo it. All right, so we are going to. I'm going to leave all the comments in, even though it's going to be a little confusing. Just know there's nothing else in this file This is the only thing that's in this file. So I'll leave those there in case we need to use any of it. But we need to go through and we need to add in the things that we're going to be managing. So where do we get that information? They said that we could use IP addresses, or we could use IP addresses or DNS names. Our choice. So we're on the Ansible control. We need to find out the addresses for 1, 2, and 3. Let's grab 1. I will use the public DNS because they should be internally connected, and we already saw in the security group that they should be set up to access each other. No problem. I'm going to take this and I'm going to go down. I'm simply going to paste it here. It's pretty much that simple. So that's 1 down. Grab this one. That's 2 down, and I'll put a little comment next to them so we know which each of them are. Here. All right. Hashtag Ansible web 3. 2. I don't really know why we need this. It just feels like I'm supposed to put some documentation here. Web server 1. Okay, so we've set up our inventory here of web servers. So that's the only kind of server we're gonna have now. We may add some more if we have time, but we have our web servers here. So that's looking good. It's a collection of hosts that will receive the same configuration. They're grouped together. But we've gone ahead and we've just simply added them to our inventory. Pretty simple, just list them out. All right, so what's next? That seems right. How can we check if that's right? So we did basically what they did in this example. To see if all the hosts are discoverable by the inventory file, use the following ad hoc command. So ad hoc is kind of a one-off request. When necessary or needed is the definition. Didn't know what the definition was. That's why I Googled it. But yeah, so ad hoc is just, asked when needed. So something you can do in Ansible, something that's good to know, is that you can execute ad hoc commands. So yes, you saw how in Terraform, we have to change the configuration and, make sure it's valid and then deploy it. For Ansible, yes, that's generally what you should be doing. You should define the configuration and you should push those things out. But if you want to just do a one-off thing, you can submit ad hoc or as needed commands to do those things. So let's grab their example here, and they say Ansible all list hosts. So this is going to determine if these services, these hosts, are discoverable by our control server. So I'm gonna paste that in, and it looks like they are all discoverable because we got some output. Pretty sure that means they're discoverable. Cool. So that's good. We run our first kind of ad hoc command there. And you can do them by grouping. So you can also list the host by group. We only have one group, but we could specify instead of all, we could have specified just web servers. And I think if we do like web server, it won't work because there's no grouping of that. So you can see which instances are in each grouping using that just Ansible list host command and defining what services you want to see, what servers you want to see. So excellent. So what have we done so far? We've used Terraform to go ahead and provision a control server for us, and 3 web server kind of nodes that are going to be managed by Ansible. We've logged into that control server and we have downloaded and installed Ansible. And now we've configured our inventory. We've told that control server all of the servers that it's going to be managing. So what we need to know, basically what you need to know is that anytime you need a new server to be managed by your control server, it needs to be added to that inventory file. And there are ways programmatically to do this. We're not going to worry about those tonight, but yes, this is how you would do it. This is how you would get set up front. Any questions so far about what we've done so far? Ad hoc, the type of query that will destroy your DB. Very true. Very true. We're not sure if you needed a left or right. So I mean, yeah, but sometimes it saves your butt, but mostly it destroys your database. You can show how to manage that file with Puppet. So you're saying use Puppet to manage my inventory file? Oh, that's a lot of work. I've seen a lot of companies using multiple configuration management tools to achieve things. I don't know. I guess everyone is groomed, and everyone is you're guided by your experience with the different infrastructures and things that you've come up against. And I've worked in a bunch of different places doing a bunch of different things, and I haven't yet seen the value or need to manage one configuration management tool with another. But yes, I do agree that manually editing config files should be avoided, but there are ways to, okay, I can see that. I'm pretty sure there are better ways to do that, but also that's a reasonable way to do it. That is absolutely a reasonable way to do it. But I agree, manually editing of files should absolutely be avoided, except for tonight, because we're just learning. Okay, so we talked about ad hoc commands. It's merely to perform a single command across one or many hosts. Yes, so we can use another one they have here to find out if all the hosts are up and running. We want to find out if all the hosts are up and running. We're going to use this ad hoc command to use the ping module for Ansible. The U switches specifies which user Ansible will connect to via SSH. Change it according to the non-root user you created earlier. So we can take this command here, and what this command does is it uses a module. We don't know about modules yet. We're not even going to learn about modules really tonight. We're going to talk about it, but we're not really going to do anything with modules besides this. But it's going to use this to basically perform an ad hoc ping command to our server to let us know which of these servers are up. Ansible will connect via SSH. So we need to make sure we're good here. So this will tell us a lot. This will tell us, this command is used a lot to know if you can connect to the things that you want to connect to. Look at the syntax of this, Ansible all. This probably means that we can also do this with just our web servers, and actually it lets us know that we can do that down here. So we're gonna do all right now, because again, we only have web servers, but we'll go ahead and we'll see if we can log in and run this ping module to do whatever it does. So the user is Ubuntu, and we get a lot of, all right, so a couple of different things. It starts to connect, everything's all good. Then we get this error. We know red is bad. And it says unreachable true. So it makes it seem like we cannot reach these servers, which is true. We cannot reach these servers. Why can't we reach them? So if you needed to try to figure out why you couldn't reach these servers, you can go through a couple different things. The first option is probably trying to figure out, hey, network wise, like, is this something I can do? You know, can I reach this internal thing? Just to give you a heads up, if you get this fingerprint check right here, that means you did actually reach the host via network. If you ever get this thing here that makes you type in yes or no, it means your connection request did in fact make it to the destination. So we don't really need to check. We don't yet need to check network. We can kind of skip the network piece because we know we can make it there, and that's just a little bit of tidbit there, a little bit of extra info, just to save us some time as well. So the other thing, so if we can get there via network, and we know we're using the right user, what's the only other thing that we're using to log in? And that is the key, and we're not using a key. We didn't specify a key anywhere. We know that we gave all of these hosts that cloud key. So let's figure out how to do this in Ansible. Like, how do you provide a key when you're doing that? So first, we're probably going to get the key. You need to get the key on the server, but we'll do that in a second. Let's Google around. Let's see if we can find the answer for this. So we can say Ansible inventory SSH key. Let's try that. Let's see if that works. I think that might be a good Google. I hope. So we'll open up connection methods and details. Specify SSH key in Ansible inventory. I like this. This sounds good. Define SSH key per host using Ansible. Okay, I'll open up 3 of these. Let's see if one of these has the answer that I want. I already know how to do it, but we'll see what we find here. This is just talking about setting up an SSH key, running it against localhost. Okay. Other connection methods. This is not what I want. I'm sure the answer's in here, but too much clicking. I want it on page 1. So, as was asked, with a separate file issue here, we can open that up in case we need to get there. Specifying your own SSH key didn't work. So it looks like they have like something, and they have the vars here. We haven't seen vars yet, and looks like we got some options here. So it looks like we have an example here. Maybe we can try to copy this example, even though we don't have much information about it. But let's go through and see Ansible Ssh Private Key with Ansible Ssh Private Key file. Cool. We can see if that works, and let's check this one over here. Let's see if we can find a Stack Overflow one as well. I think those are always fun. Just give us some, there we go. Stack Overflow is good to look at, and learning how to parse Stack Overflow. I met one configuration problem when coding Ansible Playbook for SSH Private Key file. As we know, we can define combination with host server IP and related SSH Private Key Ansible host static files. Ooh, -- private key with the commands. So maybe we can do that. Variables. Okay, so here's what we're gonna go ahead and set this up. All right, let's do this. So, basically, we can use this Ansible SSH Private Key option. We can use this to set up a variable for the section that we are for the group of servers that we're using. So in this person's example, they have a grouped, even though it's only one host, they have it grouped, or they have a category for it with only one server in it. But then they're setting up a variable here, which is this Ansible private key, and they're telling it the location of this private key here. We're gonna do just that. We're gonna do just that. I don't know which one. I really don't know if it's private key or private key file, but we'll steal this. We'll actually steal all of this real quick just so we have a reference, and we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do this. So you are SSH'd into a control VM. Yes, I am currently SSH'd into our AWS control server. I am not doing this locally. I'm SSH'd into that control node. So yes. This offends me. I identify as red. It is red. It is red on here. Yes, SSH agent. No, I do like SSH agent. I do like SSH agent. I think for this first initial use case, we are not going to use SSH agent. So first things first, let's go ahead and start using some of the Linux commands that we've used before. So I've logged out. So whenever you see my name, A Brooks at Ppa OS, now I'm on my local machine. I'll try to be clear about when I'm on my local machine. So I've logged out of our control server, and I need to get this cloud file, this cloud.pim up to our server. How do we do that? We can use a sweet tool called SCP. We learned that during the Linux section. So actually we can just go modify our SSH command. I'm gonna put it in the home directory for now, and we'll move it. And we're gonna SCP. Send an email? I should send an email. I could agent forward as well. So agent forwarding is I can, basically what I can do is I can, I can share my agents connect, like I can pass through basically my SSH agent information through this connection, and then I can actually utilize that information from the server. So I could pass that through as is 100% a usable option. I just think it's a little more straightforward. These are all building on concepts that many people might not know yet. So I don't want to make it's already a lot tonight, so I don't want to make it too confusing. But yes, that is a better option, it's an option that's good. So sh-i, I'm going to copy it up so we get to use SCP. And the file that we're going to copy up is our cloud.pim. And now it went ahead and it copied it up there. I SSH back into that machine. So I'm there. And now I can see that my cloud.pim is now right here. I'm going to copy this. What? Cloud.pim. I'm going to copy it to /.ssh. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to our file, etc. Ansible. What are the files in here? Hosts. Host is our inventory file. So we're back in here. We are going to specify. We're going to take what they have here. We're going to take this little example, and we're going to change it to work with our stuff. All right, so they set up some variables for that host that they created, and ours is web servers vars Ansible private key, and then we'll give it the location. And it is in. I just moved it to home Ubuntu.ssh, and I called it cloud.pim. That's where I put it. Yeah, Control R is reverse I search. Let's just set to -ovi. I don't know what that means. All right. We have that set up here. Let's see if we can run. Let's see if that works by default. I actually don't remember. There's probably something else that we have to do here. Failed again. Let's see. Is that everything we need to do? I never remember this piece. So we use key. Let's change it to file, Ansible Ssh Private Key file real quick, just to see if that's it. And if not, we'll troubleshoot in a second. No. And I need to check the, so now we're getting these again. And now it's green. So that's good. I'm typing another yes because this is the first time I'm hitting them. Yeah, so cool. Went through, and now we're getting successes. So we basically had to, if you're using SSH keys, this is one way that you can do it. It basically has this internal variable name that it uses to provide in an SSH key. They're not very clear about this, to be 100% honest, at least in the documentation that I've seen. They're not very clear about this. I only know this because I've used Ansible before and it was a problem. It was super duper annoying. Yeah, so we were able to use that. There's also, again, other ways to do that. Also other ways to do it. So another reason why you don't want to, even though we talked about SSH agent forwarding, you would only want to do that if you are actively logging into the control server to manage these things. That will not work if you don't log into the control server. And you might say, why would you not log into the control server? And that's because of something called CI/CD and automation. You don't need to. There are plenty of setups where you don't need to. So cool. we're now able to connect. We can see now that we've set up our control server. Our control server now has access to, well, we set up an inventory in that control server. So we told it our 3 web servers that it's going to manage, and we were able to use our private key. We were able to get that onto our host server to be able to use that private key so that our control server can now connect to these individual inventory servers, these web servers. So now that we're set up to do this, now we're at the point where Ansible can now do what it was made for, and because it can now connect, we can now use it to manage, manage the configuration of these servers. So let's go back to our tutorial and let's see how we can go ahead and get some of that done. All right, basic inventory. We got the success here. Did we get ping pong? I didn't see that. I want, that's a cool answer. It's a cool response. Oh, we did. Change. All right. What else is in this? Ansible facts, discovered interpreter Python. They're all using Python 3, which is great because Python 2 is end of life. Okay. Ansible modules, we're going to skip for now. We might come back to it in a second. We're going to hop straight into, now that we have the connections, the connection is now made. Now we're going to get to the point where we're doing kind of what we've been doing with Terraform. We're going to start writing the actual definition files that define our configuration. And we're going to use that to go ahead and deploy to our servers, push those things out to our servers. These are basically these are usually written in playbooks. There are some other ways to write these, but like playbooks are the kind of collection of ways to define and kind of run your automation against your remote instances. And so we're gonna hop right into writing our first playbooks. They are written using YAML. And again, we've written some YAML before, and we're gonna write YAML for the next few weeks in this one, also in Docker, as well as the Kubernetes portion. So you'll get your fair share of YAML, but we'll be using YAML to write our configuration. Ansible playbooks are composed of 1 or more plays. And so plays are kind of the individual, like a playbook is a collection. It says 1 or more, so, but usually it'll be more than 1, but it could be 1. But a play is the thing that kind of defines the task to run. But this is kind of like a whole collection of things to run to kind of get something in the state that you want it to be in. So we're going to go ahead and write an Ansible playbook. It's going to send tasks basically to these remote machines to manage them instead of running many ad hoc commands. So we could run a bunch of ad hoc commands to get things set up, but instead we'll write a playbook to do all the things that we want to get everything configured. Here. The tasks in Ansible playbooks are written in yet another markup language, which is YAML, which is easier to understand than JSON or XML file, which is very true. We've dealt a little bit with JSON. YAML is a superset of JSON. It is easier for humans. I think it's easier. I think most people would agree that it's easier for users to understand, or people to understand, rather than machines. Each task in the playbook is executed sequentially for each host in the inventory file before moving on to the next task. So that might be a little bit confusing because before we talked about this being a declarative language or a declarative program rather than it being declarative. So we kind of describe our state and everything gets everything gets set up. Notice here they said each task gets executed sequentially. So the things that get set up inside of that task, that are defined inside of that task, operate in a declarative manner. If something needs to happen first that's part of that task, it will absolutely do that thing first. It will determine the ordering, but the tasks themselves will be executed sequentially. So you do have to be careful with that. For each host in the inventory before moving to the next task. We're going to create a simple Ansible playbook that will install Nginx and a MySQL server. That's cool. We'll steal that. We've installed Nginx before, so we'll go along with that. And it'll install these things in the servers that we've defined in our inventory file. To be more precise, we want Nginx installed on hosts in the web servers group and MySQL server installed on all hosts in the DB servers group. So we don't have a DB servers group, so we'll have to modify our code a bit. Either we'll have to add one, or we'll have to modify our playbook to either not use a database or to put it on the web servers as well. But let's go ahead and let's copy this in and let's break it down and figure out what's going on here and talk about what's going on here. So again, they're YAML file extensions. Let's go ahead and create a playbook here. I actually don't know. This is a good question. Anyone who knows Ansible better than I do, does the location of the file matter? I don't think it matters. I think I can run it from anywhere. But I was just wondering. I'm gonna put a folder here. We'll find out shortly. Playbooks. And we'll call this playbook.vim. Why would they name it YAML? Yeah, it's an acronym, yet another markup language. Okay. We're getting there. We are getting there. I think we're making great time. I don't think this is going to be a 3-hour stream. I think we're going to finish right around 10, 15. Cool. All right. So we've created this playbook. Whoops, I called it playbook.vim. That is not what we want to call it. Playbook.yaml. And let's paste in what we copied here. Oh, that is not it at all. Did it not let me copy, or did I not copy it? Okay, I'm gonna delete this. Okay, so we have YAML. We have the YAML here. The YAML is basically going to be a bunch of keys and values, and then their structure. The indentation is going to cause kind of a structure and kind of setup here. It's gonna set up kind of the ordering of things. It's also gonna, the indentation matters and puts it under certain things, just like Python itself. But if you start using group bars or roles, then it starts to matter. Yep. Right now, tonight, we're not going to do that. So let's take a look at this. Let's break down this playbook here, talk about what's happening. So hosts. So this is you telling the playbook which host to apply the upcoming configuration that you're about to write. Which host do I want to apply this to? So that's why that name matters. So this is going to apply it to our web servers. As opposed to, we don't have the DB servers, but we can see down here, we have host DB servers. So these things here are going to happen to the DB servers, and these things here are going to happen to the web servers, according to this file. Gathering facts is Ansible will gather facts about it'll gather information about the host that it's going to push things out to. And you can use that for a number of things. We're not going to worry about that right now, but we'll leave gather facts on. Become root user. I'll leave that on. I thought that's a weird answer. Become root user root. That feels like not the right option there, but we'll leave it there for a second. And that's just, do I need to become root user to, this is asking basically, I think I have to change this to sudo, I believe. We'll see in a second. But I'm pretty sure I have to change this to sudo and not root, but we'll run it and we'll see. But this is just basically saying you don't have to install everything. You don't need to be root or sudo root to install everything. There are, depending on the way you set up things, depending on what this actual task is doing, you may not need to be root. So you only want to assume that root role when you need to actually assume it. So that is what the become root user is, but I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be I think originally the first time I ever saw this, I thought it was supposed to be true or false, and then I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, I think it's supposed to be sudo, but we'll mess with it. We'll definitely mess with it. Become true, become user, become the one. Yes, I am the one. All right, so now let's look at the task. So the task is the individual thing that it's going to perform, and let's break this down. So I also want to shout out that Once you learn one of these programs, once you learn, Ansible, or you learn Chef or Puppet, SaltStack, they all, although their YAML is different and like some of them use their own domain specific language, again, like Chef uses its own DSL as well as Puppet, that you kind of have to learn. That's another reason why Ansible is great, because it doesn't have that. It uses YAML. It's a little bit easier to figure out. But once you kind of understand the concepts in one, the concepts really do apply across the board. They really, really do. So once you focus on one, it should be easy to talk about these in the future and like to understand this paradigm in other configuration management tools. So one of the first things is the first task is going to be, you're going to give it a name, and the name is going to be install Nginx. So this task is written to install Nginx. And so here's what matters. We have to look into the documentation. We're going to look at the documentation in a second for Ansible. But that's where they're getting the information from. You might be like, how are they getting the keys that they need? How are they knowing what values to put in here? Again, you would have to refer to the documentation to figure these things out. But we are using Ubuntu. The guide that we're using is also using Ubuntu. And because of that, we can use the apt package manager to install things. So with this apt key, it enables us to use the apt package manager to install things. So using the apt package manager, so this paradigm reigns true if you're using Red Hat or CentOS. There's a yum option here as well, and there's a lot of package managers that you can use for this. So we're using apt. And the package that we're installing is Nginx. So you basically give it a package, and then you want to let it know a state. So why do you need to let it know a state? You can also use these tasks to remove things. Maybe there's a tool, or maybe there's a piece of software that you don't want on your machine. You can actually use this state to, I don't know what the actual state is to remove it, but this says present. So that basically says, hey, make sure that this thing is here. Make sure using apt that this thing is here, apps it. And so if we wanted to make sure Nginx was removed from our servers, we stopped using it, and somehow people kept installing or something, you could change it to absent. Thank you very much, K Couture. Thank you for that. We can change it to absent, but yeah. That is what this says. So you basically are defining the package that you want installed on the machine, and you're saying that, hey, I need it to be present. So again, why, like, that might seem like a weird paradigm, but again, you are defining the state of this machine. You are defining how this machine is configured. So you want to say, hey, I want this package there. I want this installed, and I want it present. I need it to be there. All right. So the other thing we have here is notify. So we have this notify thing. So what notify is, notify basically is there to notify a task or a handler, and handler in this case, when something completes. So basically it'll run through this, and basically it'll say, if this part runs, go ahead and notify this thing and basically kick off this next thing. So you can use these to chain together tasks. Why would you want to do something like this? You want to do something like this because when packages in Linux, everything in Linux is a file or folder, and we talked about things getting loaded up by default. Remember when we made changes to the Nginx configuration file to get them to read, to get those options loaded into Nginx, we had to reload Nginx or restart Nginx. I was restarting, we could have reloaded. But that is what this is doing. It's basically saying, hey, if this runs, if this causes a state change, go ahead and notify this handler, which is restart Nginx. So that'll get things to reload. And so that's what that is doing here. And so you might be like, what is restart Nginx? Again, that refers to this handler down here. And what that does is that has a service. The service is Nginx, and it's saying, hey, make sure that is restarted. The state is restarted. So it's going to basically, Ansible knows what to do to make that happen. Ansible knows how to restart a service using, that's installed via apt. So that's the first thing it does. And then the second thing it does, so these are more than one things in a task. These are multiple tasks that go along here. So the second one is enable Nginx during boot. So we've installed Nginx. We have Nginx installed, but what happens when you restart the computer? So by default, applications in Linux, if you were to restart the computer, when you started the computer back up, when the computer came back up, those applications would not be running by default. You have to enable those things. You have to tell them, you have to tell the computer, you have to tell the operating system that, hey, when the operating system finishes initializing, when it boots up to, the screen, the login screen, I need it to also be running these applications. So that's what's happening here. We enable it during boot and we say the service. So here we install the package. And that package runs a service. The Nginx package, once installed, runs the Nginx service. And so the Nginx service, we're saying, hey, this service that's called Nginx, we want it to be started, which is great. So we want it to be running. We want it to be in the started state, and we want it to be enabled. Enabled is a status for enabled at boot. And again, there's a huge learning curve to know what these options are. But again, what I want you to get out of this is kind of the structure of what's happening and kind of get your eyes on how we're describing the state. We describe, what we want, the state we want it in, basically. And that's what we're doing here. So that's all we're doing here. We're getting Nginx installed and we're getting it enabled during boot and making sure it's running at boot time. And then we're setting up this handler so that if this should run, it'll get notified by this and this will actually run. So so that can be a little bit confusing, going back and forth between these things. The more and more you look at it, the more and more you write, it makes sense. And then let's take a look at the host down here for DB servers. What are we doing here? Become root user, root, same thing that's up here. I think that's wrong again. But it says tasks. The tasks that are here are just one thing. And this just says, go ahead and install MySQL. So we're using apt again, because we're still using Ubuntu servers. The package is MySQL Server, and we're going to make sure it's present. We're not making sure it's running or anything, so we could add that manually ourselves if we'd like. Cool. Yes, Kkator, it will only notify. It will only run this notify if a change is made. So actually, what do we mean by if a change is made? Actually, I need to save this. When we did this up here, it says changed equals false. If changes need to be made to get that server into the state that this playbook describes, then that is a change. If it has to do anything to make it up to date, that's a change, and it will only notify the service if this task here should in fact be something that makes a change. If there's no change here, then it will not notify it. Cool. Oh, man. Let me get a little bit more water. I should have got some coffee tonight. Whoops. The good old LaCroix crackle. Lemony perfection. I like it. I'm really starting to enjoy it more. It makes me feel fancy. It makes me feel a little bit important, All right. So we don't need this DB server section. We're going to remove it for now, just because I don't want it to be confusing. Get rid of that. What's the brand of that drink again? It is LaCroix. I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced. I think it's Francais LaCroix. We get it. The company I work for buys it, a lots of it. So I use it to. It's actually been it actually has been very helpful. I'm for people who don't know, people who are new, I'm losing weight. I'm actually down. I'm down since August. I'm down about, I guess now I'm down about 30 pounds since August. I'm gonna keep going. But LaCroix's helped a lot. Like, I get tired of drinking. I drink a lot of water. I'm good about drinking water, but there's also a lot of other bad stuff here. That's the problem. Like, I have sodas and stuff available to me at all times. So this helps me not want to drink a soda, or like it takes away that edge, which is great. It's getting super easy now. Like, I had a soda the other day and I felt crappy and like guilty, and like I was like, oh, I don't miss this. It like burned. It was really weird. So it feels kind of good, kind of getting a little bit better. Sounds like an expensive sparkling water. I don't pay for it. I actually don't know Where they're gonna go, I'm gonna have to commandeer some when I'm no longer working for the company that I'm working for now. I'm gonna have to figure out how to commandeer some so that I can continue to be hydrated during the streams. DG vim command to learn delete from cursor to end of file. Oh man, thank you. I love all the, oh yeah, let's get these back in. So you're saying I can just do D capital, ooh, thank you. Thank you. That's good. It's already ingrained in my brain now. I like this just as much as when I learned how to delete inside of parentheses. So let's say I had something like test. Then in here I was like blah 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 blah. But I wanted to replace the stuff in parentheses. Once I found out you could do like DI, you could do DI and then the thing, and then it would just put you here. It's so nice, and then you could fix it. Ah man, Vim is just so good. If like once you learn DG, that's I'm gonna do it again just because that felt so good. Yes, all right, we have this. I'm actually gonna save it. I'm gonna save it, and then I'm gonna. Oh, that's beautiful. It's so beautiful. Thank you. That is good. I'm not gonna forget that. I like that. Yes, I would love to be a better Unix admin, even though I no longer SSH in the servers. I love that. Until then, I'm a grasshopper. I love it. Like I said, I love to learn. Thank you. $, delete to end of line. Well, do I need, so I don't need that often, but I like that. I don't need that quite as often, $. That makes sense though. That makes sense because $ gets you to the end of the line anyway. So that one will be pretty easy to remember as well. All right, I learned something new. I'm excited about this. Please, I feel so good once I learn I feel good when I learn a Vim thing that I know that I'll remember to use. Like some of them I'm like, I'm not gonna use that. That does not fit my workflow. I'm just not gonna remember that. These do in fact. I have to delete to the end of the file pretty often. Okay, so we've got our playbook written. That's basically just gonna install Nginx. We'll start with that. So how do you run this thing? Like we set it up. What options do we have to kind of get it kicked off and started? So this breaks it down. Remember, we talked about the gather facts things. So that's going to gather facts such as the OS, family, and distribution, and more. But again, you can use these things to do certain things. So these facts are good. And then configuration management, just to tell you something you may be able to do based on this information. You can. There's logic that gets incorporated in this as well. We learned about logic that gets incorporated into Terraform. You saw loops and some other functions and stuff that you can do. You could actually have, let's say our server farm had more than just Ubuntu. Maybe we had 20 Ubuntu servers, but we also had 20 CentOS servers. You can actually use these facts to basically make some variables that say, hey, and if we look back at our file, you can basically set it up to say basically, hey, if when the OS family comes back, if it's Debian, go ahead and use apt to install Nginx. But if it comes back as Red Hat, basically, we can use yum instead to install Nginx because the package name might be different because, for like Apache, it's Nginx here. Or it's HTTPD for the package for some things, and it's HTTP for others. And so it's really nice because you can use that information to make decisions or, that information can be used a lot. Sometimes you don't know what kind of machines you're going to be hitting, even though you should. But it's just wanted to give you some information on why the gather facts might be important. Also good to just gather information as well. All right, so that broke it down. Now run the Ansible, run the above playbook using Ansible Playbook. Append the name of the user from a remote managed host with a -u switch. So take a look at this. What's up, Funk Dev? Welcome to the channel. Thank you for the follow. But they're gonna call Ansible Playbook. They're going to specify the playbook that we just wrote, and they're going to do the -user. And let's go ahead and see what that is going to do. We made perfect timing this time. We're going to talk about some of this other stuff, but we're not going to implement that much extra stuff. So what do we do? Ansible dash not equals Ansible Playbook, playbook.yaml-u, the user we want to use is Ubuntu. That's what we're using. So running this command is basically telling it to execute this playbook. Go ahead and run that playbook. Go ahead and run all the tasks that are in that playbook and execute them on the inventory that you specified in there. Remember, we specified, I think, web servers in there, which is all of our servers. And let's go ahead and hit enter here. And so first thing it did is it gathered some facts. We will check that out in a second, what that error is. So we got an error. Well, let's take a look at this first. So gathered facts. I forgot where the facts go, but you can grab the facts. Did it make a file here? I don't know. Maybe you have to set them to go somewhere. I can't remember. But yeah, gathered all the facts here. That the green is good. Says we did good. Then we got it failed to install Nginx. So when you look at it, it tells us it failed. It gives us some information about when, but it says install Nginx failed, could not open lock file. We've seen that before. We've seen that plenty of times. That's when we weren't using sudo. It's asking for a root. And again, I told you that I thought that this example was wrong. And I'm pretty sure that this needs to be sudo. I'm pretty confident, actually. So do this again. And so that instead of trying to become the root user, it'll go ahead and it will use sudo to try to do that. So we'll see if this works. And that did not work, so maybe that's not the right option, but it is not trying to use sudo. That's why we're getting this permission denied. We'll try enabled. Oh, it's true. Okay. Oh, become true. Yeah, I think I found that last time too. So not even become user. I think it's just become. What does it need to be? Become user or just become? I need them both. I need to become true and become user sudo. Oh, okay. Okay. Become true and darn it. All right, try this out. Okay. All right, this one's different. Excellent. This is great. So this gave us a different error. Wow, that's a lot of stuff. Let's see if we can decipher what happened here. So it's hard to look through. It's hard to parse these sometimes. So failed to fetch. Actually, this is great. Security couldn't find. Basically, it's saying 404 not found. It could not find using apt. It could not find the package that we needed. Why might that be the case? Does anyone know from our Linux section why this might be the case? Why we're trying to install a package, but we can't find it? Yes, it absolutely is something with repos. And yeah, I don't have no tab completion by default in Vim. I'm just so used to it locally. But yes, it is something with repos. What might that be? What do we need to do first? What's the first thing you need to do when you kind of have a fresh server? All these servers are fresh. What's kind of the first thing that we need to do to, yes, there we go. We need to update it. Apt update. So this is great. So now we need to go ahead and add our own task. I like that this happened. This is great. And actually, let me see if through his, I actually want to see if through his, if that happened. It did. Good. This is great. So we're going off script. So we need to have a task that first updates the server. So we can't install Nginx currently because our repos that apt is using, it doesn't know where to grab Nginx from because it hasn't been updated. I Ansibled into your repos and deleted it. Now this is a common thing on a fresh Ubuntu install. But we need a new task here. So we'll call it update. Whoops. Call it update. We're just gonna call it apt update. All right, so I actually don't know. I'm sure there's an apt tool to do it. So let's see. let's go ahead and look through Ansible's. It probably has an update thing. So you can also, what's interesting is, so yes, they give you a bunch of these tools that you can use in Ansible to do these things. I could also run just the raw command if I wanted to, but it's best to kind of use it when possible. I would use the things that they have available to you. And so before even really parsing documentation, we're gonna simply do Ansible Apt update. So it's going to take us to the docs for Apt to manage packages, and we can look through and let's just see if we have an update cache. Update cache Boolean. All right, so we maybe wouldn't even do this in a different in the same thing. Let's see. Apt package. Maybe we'll do it in the same line. PKG state here. Run the equivalent aggregate update before operation. Yep, we can just add this. We actually don't need a new. I don't think we need this. I think we can do. Wow, that's what happens when you don't go into insert mode first. What happened here? DDD. So we're gonna add a new option here, which is update that underscore, I think equals, I think it's just a Boolean. That's what it looked like here. This is a Boolean, choices no or yes. Oh, so maybe I just had to change it to yes and not no. So remember, you can see here state. We have a state option here. We have the state option here, and remember, present is making sure it's there. And you can see absent is making sure it's gone. So I'm gonna make this yes. And so see, it adds in some, using this adds in some nice, using the tools they have available to you, adds in some nice syntactic sugar so that you don't have to write out a whole task to do an apt-get update before doing this. But you can do that if you need to, but I wouldn't recommend it. So let's go ahead and let's see if that works. And this is a good sign. It failed really fast all the other times. And I'm going to show you all something cool. Specifically, once this runs, should get Nginx installed. Pretty nice, nice and easy. I'll show you what configuration drift is and how Ansible can resolve that as well. I'll get you out here pretty soon. We're gonna get this installed and we're gonna just mess around just a bit. It's taking longer than I thought. There we go. All right, so just like Terraform, we have, these color-coded things, which is nice. You won't always get colors, but a lot of the times you will. But things that are changed are in orange, unless you know that basically during the Nginx piece, things changed. It enabled Nginx during boot. Then you can see here it ran this handler. So these handlers don't run by default. Remember, it ran because of that. It ran because of this notify here. So if I run this again, this handler will not run. If no changes need to be made, the handler won't run. I'll show you that in a second. Then it gives you a little recap here. And lets you know everything that happened, everything that changed on each server. So it gives you some good output so you can know, like this output is kind of good, this recap is good, because maybe you have a server that for some reason is getting modified in some way by some outside service that you guys set up, but you don't know about it. And you see that every single run is being changed for some reason. And it's like, what? Like this is really weird. It can help you identify issues like that. And again, knowing if something failed or things were skipped, it's nice having these this output here. It can get daunting when there's a lot of them, but there are ways to handle that as well. And so if I run this again, everything's green. And you can see that up here, the handler restarting Nginx ran, this ran here, it did not run down here. Again, that is to tell you that that notify only notifies when the task that it's referring to changes. Nothing changed because the state that we described, it is already in place. So Nginx is installed, it is running, and it is enabled at boot. It did not need to make any changes to that. So I'm gonna let this cop car pass. But what's good about this is, let me go back one. Let's go ahead and SSH into one of these servers. Let's SSH into number 2. SSH dash. So we're gonna SSH from our control server. Ubuntu to one of the managed servers here. Whoa. Oh, that makes sense. All right, so we're going here. So now we're in the other server. Notice that the IP address changed. I know it looks really close, but we're in the new server. We're gonna stop Nginx. So we stopped it. Dash AUWX. I know last time we were having trouble with this. All right, so Nginx isn't running. This is just the this grep found the actual this grep command that we ran. So it's not running on here. It's not running on the server now. Let's log back out. We're back into the control host. Let's go back in our playbooks and let's rerun the playbook. You should really be using a reverse search. I didn't know how far back it was. Remember, I told you guys about the Control R. I'm gonna just type in playbooks, and I can quickly find the command that I used before. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna run it again. And gather the facts, all good. Install Nginx. Nginx is already installed. I didn't remove it. But check out here. Enable Nginx during boot. This changed. This changed because it was not running. Yeah, because the section that's in there to this just sets it to present. This makes sure it's set at boot and that it's running. And again, we can vim our playbook. That's where it says status. The state is started and is enabled. So that the install Nginx section is not where that happens. It happens in the enable during boot. Should probably change that name. But you can see here how it only updated that one and made it change one thing to get it back in line with everything else. And that is how it fixes configuration drift. So generally, people would put either these pushes or these pulls on some type of cron. So maybe every 20 minutes, 30 minutes or something like, and then that way you can be kind of sure that the servers will check in every so often. And even if they do get out of state somehow, these tools will do their best to get them back into state. There are times when that can't happen for some reasons, depending on the change that happened. But most of the time, it's going to do that. It's going to get it back in place. This is also great for stuff like users. So you can use this to set up users, to manage user accounts and certain files. And so like this Nginx playbook, we could also do things like, if we had like we installed Nginx, but this is the raw Nginx. So if we actually went to one of these servers, and again, we'd have to modify. Let's go ahead and open up the firewall really quick. We go to one of these servers real quick. And it gives us the default Nginx page. It does, in fact, serve up an Nginx page. But what if you had a whole website? What if you had a whole application on here that you needed to run? And Nginx needed some substantial configuration. What you could do is, in this playbook, you could have basically the Nginx configuration is simply some files. You can have a folder in here that holds all your files, and you can write a task that says, hey, I need this file. I need this Nginx configuration file make sure it is present in this exact location. Make sure that the exact file that's in this folder is present in this exact location. And so it'll run through it, it'll put the file there. And if it needs to be updated, it'll do that. And you can have it notify the restart or the reload to be able to do that thing. But you can manage all aspects of your server using this. And so, yeah, like you can literally do everything. So if you can use a module again to do it, you should. But it just takes some practice. You do need some. You do need those Linux chops a little bit to be able to do it, because it still follows that same flow, that same sysadmin flow of kind of getting things installed. You got to understand how to do these things, but hopefully you can see the value of that. We only did this with 3 servers. What's great about this is, what if, there are better ways to do this, but just throwing it out there. And Amazon, we talked about how in Amazon EC2, you have these elastic instances. You can have a load balancer that can scale up your servers. It can give you more servers on demand if you need it, depending on your traffic. Now, ideally, you want to have some kind of gold image or some kind of image to do that, but that doesn't work always. But there's some automation you can set up to where, hey, when these servers get spun up, when these brand new servers get spun up, because Ansible doesn't need any type of agent on them, that the URL or the DNS name or the IP address can be automatically inserted. And then that server can be fully picked up and managed and configured via this. And again, it gets really extensive. Like, you can do everything. You can set up anything that you want that you need to manage the server. You can set it up, all your applications. You can pull stuff down from GitHub. You can move files around. You can create users. You can again delete things, make sure things are gone. You can use these to push updates out to your server. If you need to do a security patch and you have 65 servers, you can simply either run an ad hoc command or have a playbook that does exactly that, which is super duper nice. If you have 1 million servers, I don't know what the limitations are. There shouldn't be. You should be fine if you have a big enough server to handle that. But yeah, million servers. If you have 1 million servers, you are making a lot of money, so you should probably just stop working. So you probably don't even need to pay someone else to figure out whether or not that's going to work. Yes. Steven, what is the programmatically to? When I say programmatically, I mean through some type of code or automation, or like through not manually, like done in an automated fashion per se. That's what I mean. So again, there are things you can set up, like AWS will give you information when there's auto scaling events and things like that. You can retrieve information about the new servers, and you can have it grab your private DNS, or you can actually have the service itself, the server itself. You can write some user data, and you can have it get its own information and send it off to an API or something. I've seen this done in so many different ways. It's super interesting. I mean, Ansible is a way to configure infrastructure programmatically. Yes, absolutely. You can use Ansible as a tool to configure infrastructure programmatically. That's what this is. That is what setting up these playbooks. These playbooks are. This is Terraform. Defining these playbooks that do different things based on the different needs that you have. Yeah, and you can. There's a lot of logic that you can apply to this. As well, you can. There's variables here. Again, there's conditionals here. There's I'm pretty sure there's loops here as well. What's up, Reaper Russian? Thanks for the follow. What's up, Battle Frogger? Welcome. Thank you for the follow. You'd have to level my Linux chops, but I do see how it can be useful. Yeah, it's a sysadmin's tool. And I think that's why Ansible, people have taken to Ansible so much. Chef was kind of seen as the developer's configuration management tool. What's up, Sharpened Turd? That's a good name. I like that. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for the follow. Because it's written in YAML, there's no there isn't this domain specific language that you have to learn. The other tools, you do have to learn a bit of, it's a little bit like learning a programming language. Actually, let's take a look at some Chef code real quick. chef code example. And it's just a little different. Like the resource blocks and stuff are a little bit different. So it's not YAML. It's kind of written. It's Ruby really. It's a domain specific language that is really Ruby. Let me see if I can find a bigger. I saw one up top, but I want to see if one that has more information in it. So this would be like the way you would write. You would want to get a file. Like basically, you're saying I have this file that I want put in this location. Or this file that is in this location, this stone.txt file, I need you to delete it. Make sure it's gone. The same way that we would use that the present versus the remove or whatever. I can't remember what, or absent. Make sure you can delete it. So it's done in like these like Ruby code blocks, which is harder to learn when you're new to this. It is more intimidating. Like, not gonna lie, it can be pretty intimidating. And they're called recipes. All the stuff with Chef is, it's kitchen and knife, and like there's a tool called knife, and these are called recipes. But yeah, see, they just look a little bit different. So to do an update, like you can still use like an apt package manager, and you define the name here, and the action you're gonna do is install. And you still have things like notifies, all that stuff remains the same. You can still use variables, you can still get all that metadata back, that gather information, all that stuff happens. It happens in a different way because these have agents. But yeah, they all do this, they do the same thing. They just do them, they have a different idea for doing them. Variables in Chef are, to me, when you're first approaching them, if you're not a programmer, they're a little more difficult to approach. Just their syntax is weird, and kind of following them. But yeah, you can use loops. Chef feels a little bit more like you are coding rather than Ansible, which feels like you're configuring, and that's what people kind of like a little bit more. Let's see. How would Chef be used with Ansible? I don't know. I probably wouldn't do that. I've never seen it done before. I'm sure, you can make these tools can definitely work together, but I don't know what the benefit of that will be. Yeah, they can all really do anything you want them to do. They're all open source as well. They all have open source versions that you can use, so you can mess with all of them for free. So don't be afraid to try to dive into one of them, because they are all free for you to use. They have paid versions as well, but the free one will just be fine just for you. Yeah. Do I have a YouTube channel? Yes, I do have a YouTube channel. Where I upload these to, but I also make other videos. I have a lot in the pipeline. I'm telling you, I'm not lying to you. But the YouTube is the place for other things. Like I have a video up there on like how to, combat imposter syndrome and things like that. More high level information about the tech industry and navigating it rather than this. This is more the training portion. But yeah, you can check it out if you want. More, I promise you, more videos are going up very soon. Things are changing right now to allow that. There's actually been a significant amount more content just for people who need it. And the people are into different things. People are always asking me, hey, when are you gonna do something about this? When are you gonna do something about this? Like, when are you gonna go over this topic? When are you gonna go over that topic? Everyone's into something different. So there will be more coming as more time permits. Can Ansible task run a Python script? Yes, it can. Yes. It absolutely can run a Python script. You can run anything. Is your Linux content enough to understand sysadmin basic? Yes. Yeah. So like it'll give you the tools that you need. A lot of the sysadmin context comes from just like it's like on the job. It's really hard to go through the context of being a sysadmin. The tools though, like when you learn those commands and what they do, you can basically start to put together those commands to gather information and get things done that you need to get done. It took me a while to learn that. I spent a long time. I think this is what has to happen. Then when you're learning Linux and stuff, at first you are memorizing how to fix a problem. Like when you come across a problem, you memorize the steps to fix it, but not really why you're doing those things and what they're really doing. And so it took me a while to get out of that. Like, I basically started getting decent by just like, hey, I literally know the order of steps to fix. When I see this space full, I've memorized the steps to take to fix that. And then you get to a point where you're like, okay, actually, like, I need to be thinking higher level now. Cause again, all this stuff is just using tools to solve problems. So you got to know why you're kind of doing these things. You pick up the tools and then you got to use the tools to get to an answer. So again, most of the time it's gathering information and taking action. So if this space is full, like, I need to know, hey, is there something I can delete? Is there where on the file system is are most of these files coming from? Maybe there's a runaway log file that I can remove, or maybe there's a, some kind of, I don't know, extra binary or something that's being weird that doesn't need to be there that I can get rid of, that will give me significant more space, or clean something out, or rotate something, or maybe it's a bunch of text files and I can compress them and get a lot of space back. Those are the things that take time to kind of pick up on. But yes, I do think the Linux portion that we went through will give you enough of the tools to start doing that, to start doing those things for sure. Yeah, but that's an intro to Ansible. I know, again, it's not super deep. We didn't do a ton of stuff with it, but again, tangible takeaways. We're always going to do tangible takeaways. We now know, hopefully you saw the difference between what we did with Terraform and what we did with Ansible. We used Terraform to configure the actual infrastructure that we were going to use to manage in Ansible. So we kind of spun up the actual servers. We spun up the Ansible control server. We spun up those web servers in Terraform. We defined them in Terraform. We defined them here and deployed them via Terraform. So Terraform actually gave us those blank Ubuntu servers that we had. We logged in to the control server for our Ansible. We installed Ansible. That's the only place you need to install Ansible. Then we told the control server what servers it needed to control, it needed to be managing. How do we do that? We did that through an inventory file. And so through that inventory file, we defined the servers that we wanted to manage. And then after that, we wrote a playbook. We wrote a playbook, which is a list of tasks that get executed to change the state of each of those managed servers. So the one that we wrote was to install Nginx, and make sure that Nginx was running and enabled during boot. And we were able to see that happen. We also learned that Ansible works via SSH, and that is agentless. So there's no agent, there's nothing running on each of the managed servers, and it uses SSH to connect. That is very important to know, because one, for security reasons, one for, depending on how your architecture is set up, that may not be possible, or it tells you what needs to happen network-wise for your control server. Your control server needs to be able to access your things, all of your managed servers via SSH. So that determines how you have to have things networked. You can have multiple control servers if you like. People do that depending on their VPCs and stuff. Like, people will put different control servers out there to do different things if you need to. But yes, you do need to know that to think about it for networking. Same thing applies for all the rest of them, but just something to think about. Just something to think about there. The sign of a yes, newbie Linux admin. I removed a log file and it didn't come back. Yep. Yes, 100%. It's so interesting how much I relied on that stuff before, and now I still use a lot of Linux daily, but I don't use because of I work primarily on the cloud, and so now parsing those things is different. I actually still do. I use a lot of tools that people have written to parse AWS logs and stuff, because I don't like to do it in the console. But I don't know. I used to use Linux tools to administer servers, and now I more so use Linux tools to help me do my job. I use things like like JQ to parse JSON, and like I do a lot of command line stuff still, but it's more so to help me and to assist me rather than managing servers and stuff. Because again, we actually do all that. We do that in a different way. That's why I actually haven't used a configuration management tool in a while. We originally were using Chef when we first kind of implemented our first round of automation, but then we do everything at build time. We build everything that we need into an image, and we don't do we make no changes. If we need to make a change to a server, to the configuration of a server, we build a new image and tear the old one down and bring a new one up, which as someone who has to keep track of the systems and manage systems, like it's better. It's better for your sanity. It's better for your sanity, 100%. We also don't have that many servers, to be honest. What's up, Slim Koo? Welcome to the channel. Thank you for the follow. But yes, all those tangible takeaways. I hope we got that. I'm actually gonna take this playbook and I'm gonna push this up to GitHub as well. I'm gonna do it from here. I don't know if that copy is gonna allow me to buffer it. I shouldn't put it in Terraform. We gotta make a new repo. Trash. Vim. These are nope. I'm not doing that. I'm going to combine everything into the DevOps repo. We have a DevOps repo. I'm gonna put all of these files. I just don't know where it is on this computer. I might just have to clone it. Actually, no, I'm doing it right now. I'm doing this right now. Because if I don't do it now, I won't do it. Or not that I won't do it, I'll get sidetracked for sure. We'll get everything into this. Yes, DevOps Bootcamp, Jan 2020. I will clone this, because I don't know where this is. All right, DevOps Bootcamp. So we're gonna copy -R, we're gonna copy Terraform into here. We're gonna copy Go DevOps. We're gonna copy Linux. I don't even know what's in that Linux one, but it's all going in there. It all seems right. What was in there? Hold on, that was large. Oh, Python tar. Nah, we're getting rid of that. Well, I don't need to get it here. Oh, it's right there. Okay, that makes sense. Serverless into DevOps Bootcamp. DevOps. All right, CD into the Linux one. All right. Oh, actually, this might be redundant. So let me see. Yep. Okay. So I'll remove this. Whoa. This might break stuff, but we'll fix it if it does. Oh, so I actually don't need anything in I don't need that Linux folder at all. But all the other stuff is here because I cloned it. Actually, so let's add an Ansible. Darn it. What am I doing? Ansible. CD Ansible. Vim Playbook dot YAML paste. Oh, that was anticlimactic. That's the right word, I think. Copy. Ooh. Copying and pasting YAML can suck, but dash host. I'm pretty sure that's right. And this is what we did tonight. And whoa! Oh, so I've added an extra Git sub module where. Oh, and Go DevOps. we made our own folder for this. We need to clean all this up. I put it in the comparison? What is this? Oh, nah. Okay. All right, we'll fix this. I'm gonna remove this, and whatever repo that is, I'm gonna fix all these. Where are we at? Git. All right. Status. Whoa, modified. I added everything. Changes not staged for commit. Git checkout file. What did I do wrong? Modified content, untracked content. So in Terraform. Oh, well, the ad should have did it. Terraform. Oh, then I pushed. Nope, I'm gonna remove this because I pushed it to Terraform. So unclone, not even unclone, just remove the, if you cloned the Terraform stuff before, I'm gonna delete that as well. Because I'm gonna put all these together. This is not the cleanest way to do it. There's a better way, there are way better ways to do this, but not right now. Not right now, they're not. Git commit -m consolidated all the DevOps bootcamp stuff. All right. Git push. Mistyped my password. Okay, so now I'll give you guys this link. And now this will have everything. We'll keep everything in here. Oh, I gotta fix that. I'll fix it. Where did our Terraform stuff go? Oh, I think I tried to make it a Git submodule. I'll fix that tonight. But I'll give you this so you have it. I wanted to give you a space so you have it. If you need to grab it. Do you cover Zabbix? I do not cover Zabbix. I don't even know what Zabbix. I know what I've heard of Zabbix. What is that, like a I don't know. Enterprise class open source network. Monitor. Is it a monitoring tool? Oh yeah. I know what Zabbix is. No, we're not gonna be covering Zabbix. Only reason we're not going to be covering specific, we're covering the big daddies of monitoring tools, which is probably going to be Nagios, only because, well, actually, I think last time we used Monit because Monit's simple. Like the monitoring section is boring. It's like, to me, maybe not to you all. The monitoring section is boring to me. Maybe we can cover Zabbix. I've never used Zabbix before, but I'd be willing to check it out. Is Zabbix open source? Never used it before, but we will be using both normal monitoring tools. Maybe we use like Prometheus or something. But we'll also be using like APM tools, like either New Relic or Datadog. Whoever will give me a new whoever will give me a new trial, because I'm not paying for either one of them. Am I too late? You're late. You're definitely late. We're definitely wrapping up now. We kind of covered everything already. Netbox, you guys are, I don't know what this is. You guys are fancy. I'm with the basics. Document computer networks. Huh. This looks cool. I'll check this out. I'll give you a WYSIWYG. Oh no, WSGI, never mind. Cool, written in Python. I like it. Postgres. I'll check it out. I'll definitely check it out. Never knew about Netbox. New Relic is we use that for the APM portion just because, like, I think APM is good to know about. Just like everyone does it the same now. Everyone will just give you either some kind of package to build into your code or a little thing to plug in somewhere. And you can check that stuff out. Yeah, not too late if you run the VOD. Yeah, but I like New Relic. New Relic is just expensive. Like all the APM tools are just kind of expensive, but they're good to know about. They're definitely good to know about. I think did he cover that in the roadmap for monitoring? What did he put in the monitoring section? Is there monitoring? Oh yeah, he put Zabbix here. Grafana, Prometheus. Maybe we'll go to Prometheus. I think I used Monit last time because Monit is the easiest to configure, or at least the easiest one I knew of to configure at the time, but it's not heavily used at all. Or at least I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it heavily used in like companies. So maybe we'll switch it to Prometheus. I'll take some time. I haven't used Prometheus in a long time, but we'll use some kind of APM tool again, like Datadog or New Relic as well, just so you can see both and kind of the differences they give you and like the kind of ideas behind them. Oh, actually, I'm actually surprised they didn't put Datadog down here. I didn't see this section. I'm glad they split them out, and that's what the APM is: application monitoring, application performance monitoring. It will be. I don't know what Jaeger is. Oh, I think Jaeger is the Go one. We might be using that. Jaeger APM. Yeah, we're using this. Never used it. But this is actually going to be good also because this is good actually. No particular reason yet, but yeah, I'll try it if I can get it running. And it makes sense. I will use Jaeger because it is an open source APM. That's good. I'm going to use Jaeger for sure, actually. Just got to take some time to get it going. I have 10 years free of New Relic Pro. How did you get that? I want that. I mean, I don't really need it, but I kind of want it. It just sounds, you just sound important. But also, whatever strings you pulled to get that, see if they want us like sponsor the channel. Like I'm actually looking. I was never looking for sponsors before, but I'm actually looking for sponsors now. Now that I have to leave my job for this boot camp. Oh, you work there? Oh, well then. Oh, perfect. Find out internally if they're trying to if they want to be a part of the LaCroix gang. Be a part of, be part of the LaCroix game and a little bit of New Relic as well. New Relic and LaCroix, and we can combine these things together. It might be a great thing. Cool, yeah, that'd be cool. I'm just asking. I'm messing around. But you should still ask. My dad gave me owns New Relic. Oh yeah, like the whole company New Relic. I like it. Also, introduce me to your father who owns New Relic. I'm in. All right, that's it. So we have gotten pretty far. We've gotten pretty far now. So I'm just gonna warn you right now. Actually, hold on. Let me see this. We're CMDB. I have not. What is CMDB? I don't think I've worked with CMDB. What is this? I have never worked with a configuration management database tool ever. This is cool. Maybe there's something we can check out. I do know about SolarWinds though, but I've never worked with CMDB before. The CEO's but fair warning. I do think for people who are brand new to this, I think there are a lot of people in here who are entering from some aspect of the tech community already. So everything isn't daunting to them. But for people who are brand new to this stuff, everything we've done so far is probably already a little bit overwhelming, and that's okay. It's understandable. That's why I let you know in the beginning, like, it's okay. Just keep chugging along, start to pick out the concepts and really pick out what problems these solve. I've found that rolling in for anyone who's new or doesn't have any, or anyone who's coming from a programming background and is just kind of getting some systems information now. Albino Cheetah, first off, welcome, sir. Welcome Welcome, Tyler. I'm sorry I threw your name out there, but welcome. Forgot to say I saw your name up there. What's up, Vision Sniper as well. But yeah, anyone who's new, when we get to the next section next week, which is containers, it can be a paradigm shift. I think so. Containers is going to affect two people really badly. Probably the new people, and anyone who's a sysadmin who's like coming from a pretty established sysadmin background. Containers is going to might mess you up. Like it happened to me, and then I thought it was just me. And then the more and more people I talked to, I found that they had the same paradigm switch problem. Yeah, there's a lot of caveats to containers, and I remember I was like, oh, containers like it's like a mini VM, all good. And I installed all this bunch of stuff inside of it, and then I lost everything. And I was like, hold on, I spent hours setting that up. I thought it was just a mini VM. Not true at all. Well, not true. So it's gonna be an interesting paradigm switch. But yeah. But cool. Our engineering team, containers mess everyone up. Yeah, I mean, not everyone up, but they do. It can be a paradigm shakeup. It really can. But containers are like I'm really excited to start the container section. Like I really, really like containers. Container orchestration 1 should be fun. I think container orchestration 2, when we dive deeper into Kubernetes, I think this part's gonna be a little confusing. I don't think there's any way around it. Kubernetes is a little bit of a beast. It's a little bit of a beast. Here, container orchestration 1 will start out with Docker Compose, which I think will be nice, especially because it's something that you can more readily use yourself. But Kubernetes is gonna be a bit of a beast, and it's gonna be, yeah. So the next 2 weeks, should be both fun and a bit of a beast. These will all be very hands-on. So just get ready when we get it there. It will be very hands-on. We'll be writing a lot of Docker files. We'll be writing a lot of configuration for these and kind of building out some things. So that should be exciting. So we're gonna keep adding to our code base for show. What's up, the Gnaw Man? First off, welcome. Thank you for the follow. And what's up? I gotta wait till your name pops up because I just lost it. I gotta wait till it pops up at the bottom. I think it was. I'll find it. I'll wait till it pops up. Containerization is hard at scale, but that is where people need it to go. Kube is the future. Kube is the future because everyone's decided it's the future. Yeah, man. Again, when we get to Kubernetes, I have some strong opinions about Kubernetes. I have strong opinions about the direction of Kubernetes. I like it. I think Kubernetes is great. But I don't think it's not the answer that everyone says it is, but it works. It works. I do think it's the future because everyone's going to make it the future. I actually would really like people to start going more like I prefer serverless, man. I don't know about y'all. I like people. It can be hard to manage once you get a lot of stuff going, but I prefer serverless to Kubernetes, to be honest. But K8s is great. We are not going to spin up Kubernetes in AWS because the control plane costs $150 a month. And I will forget to spin it down. We are not going to be using AKS. We are going to be using Minikube for this, so that everyone can kind of do it. If we were to use Amazon's Kubernetes service, then that would stop a lot of people from being able to participate. Minikube should allow us to do it. Get on the bus. I'm on the bus. I'm on the Kubernetes bus, but I'm just not as happy to be on it as everyone else is. Or I am happy to be on it. I think I'm on it for a different reason than everyone else is. Let's build this competition then. Hey, I mean, maybe we can build this competition. Maybe we can utilize Amazon's built they've open sourced their Firecracker little micro VMs. I wonder if we could do some cool stuff with that to make some fun stuff. Azure would put native Windows. We could. Sheesh, 15K. Well, that's a lot. That's more than we run. That's a lot more than Then the small business administration runs. They don't run 25,000 containers at all, or 15,000. Drink the grape Kool-Aid. I don't like Kool-Aid, first off. I'm trying to lose weight over here. That's why I'm drinking LaCroix. Another shameless plug. LaCroix, you guys got to be watching. We got to get some LaCroix connects in here, for sure. You guys use gRPC? We don't. Our project doesn't. Other people do. We do not use gRCP. Coconut LaCroix is gross. I'm sorry, Amir. I don't like coconut stuff. Coconut LaCroix is the worst one. It is not the best LaCroix. It also is not good with lime either. So I'm starting to learn that the lime is not good with lemon or the coconut. So it must be the lime that's the problem. But I do like lime on its own. But yeah, like the lime, we all figured we did a LaCroix tasting in the office one day, and we kind of mixed, lime and the coconut. You mix the lemon and the lime, make the Sprite. There's a bunch of options in there. None of them worked out good. There were no mixes that were good. When you mix them all, it was okay. When you mix all of them together, it was okay. But yeah. Chocolate peanut butter. That would sounds terrible. If there are actually chocolate peanut butter LaCroix, that sounds gross. Even though I'm a huge peanut butter and chocolate fan. Definitely a huge peanut butter chocolate fan. I love Reese's. Reese's, whatever you want to say. All I care about, if you're going to say Reese's, you must say Reese's Pieces. And if you say Reese's, you must say Reese's Pieces. So just know that is the rule here. Because if you say Reese's Pieces, I'm going to be angry. And if you say Reese's Pieces, I'm going to be even angrier. So just letting you know more about myself. Key lime is good. I don't think I've ever had key lime either. Yeah, Reese's peanut butter cups. All the developer wants a consistency. Yeah, I agree. It makes our lives easier. I used to work at the Hershey company. Did you really? I see, man. You guys are super trolls. But I love it. Yeah. So anyone who's interested in the Python bootcamp. Tomorrow we're doing some more hands-on stuff with object-oriented programming. We learned kind of the pillars. I missed a pillar last night. I'm tripping. We got sidetracked and I missed an entire pillar. I only gave you 3 of the 4 pillars and no one called me out on it. That was really weird. But I'll give that 4th pillar and then we'll actually practice some stuff. We definitely did not go over what did we go over? We went over encapsulation. We went over abstraction. We went over, I don't remember. I don't even remember the 4 pillars. No, there's 19 in the Zen thing. Yeah, polymorphism. Polymorphism is the one we did not go over. And it is the hardest, to me, it is the hardest pillar. It's the hardest pillar. I am not good at using polymorphism in practice yet. I understand the concept, but I'm not good at using it in practice yet. I think that's also because I don't get a lot of enough opportunity to do like true object-oriented programming anymore, or I don't as much anymore. But yeah. So now we got, you worked at Left Twix for a while and it wasn't right. Okay, all right. How do we know? Well, okay. Yeah, I mean, never mind. I answered. I had like 9 questions, but then my brain immediately answered them all, so I didn't need to ask any of them. That's good. We need to make a list of all the places people have worked. I was looking into Angular, does under the hood and do a lot of dependency injection in factories. Yeah. I've never used Angular yet. I hear very strong opinions about Angular. I've done a fair amount with React, or like I've been around React a lot. I've messed with React on my project a lot, and I've done some stuff personally with it. But I do want to check out Angular. OOP is a beast. Object-oriented programming is cool. It can be, the concepts are tough. It's really, it's weird. It's one of those things, like most things, when the concepts are tough, you understand them, and then it's like, okay, like I understand that it's simpler than I thought it was, but you still really understand why the stuff was hard. But I feel like Object-oriented programming is the one where like I feel like it shouldn't be that hard to understand, but it is. And I remember how hard it was when I was trying to learn it, and like it was hard to even learn it at first, much less implement it. But it's got some stuff. I'll teach some design patterns. I will be teaching some design patterns. We're going to be doing more of that in the next iteration of boot camps. So actually, I'll just give you guys a little update on that now. The next iteration of boot camps will probably have a singular a software boot camp that is much longer than the 12-week one now, that dives a lot deeper. Why? Because it didn't feel like there was a good way to do an introductory one and then kind of move that one a level up with the amount of people who are interested, like just with the amount of people who have asked, like I want to try to learn software. So we're gonna kind of attack it from a couple different levels. We're gonna try to do it with a full like a full comp sci course. And again, specifically, we're probably going to be using Go because it's a good first language to learn. But we'll be using other languages in the class. It's going to be more of a computer science course with those individual workshops kind of built in along the way to really enforce the things and to give people opportunities to build genuine things to put on their resume, build genuine things to have in their GitHub. So that's actually going to be what the goal is. Coming up for at least the software development portion of things. We're still doing all the other stuff. We're still doing, again, a cloud computing one. There's going to be more DevOps stuff that's going to be more project based, more intermediate than it is now. We probably won't go as broad on the tooling. We'll be trying to solve specific problems. So we'll miss some stuff in there, but we'll also get a lot deeper in a bunch of stuff as well. But yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. Having a little bit of fun. But design patterns will happen in that class, and we'll be learning a little bit of design patterns here as we get into this third part of algorithms in the two projects. We will be getting into a little bit of design patterns, and we might talk about design patterns a little bit more for teaching interviewing and just kind of talking about things to maybe brush up on that would be valuable to kind of hear in an interview. We'll maybe go through that as well. I appreciate that. So I'm trying to teach the things that like I wish I knew sooner. I'm trying to teach the things I wish I knew sooner. And one of the problems, and maybe I'm gonna go back and watch and see if it comes across, but like the reason I keep harping on focusing on the concepts is I had so much trouble learning. It took me so much longer to learn the tools and learn different things when I didn't know what they were for. Like at first I was just learning stuff. Like I was just like learning a tool. I didn't really know what it did or what problem it solved. Once I started to learn what problems things solved, it was so much easier to learn the tools. Like it stuff just makes more sense. Like now I can just hop into a tool and just kind of run through it and like really know what to do with it because I know what problem it solves. I don't know, that helped me. And that's kind of why I harp on it. Maybe I should focus on it a little bit more, but that's what I really hope. Like learning the tool is one thing. And yeah, you do want to learn the tools. It does take some time to learn the tools, but knowing what they do first, knowing what they do is what gets you jobs. I'm serious. Knowing what they do and being able to speak about what they do and what problems they solve is what really gets you the job. English uses observables. So he has more complexity. So, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna dive into Angular a bit. So one thing I'm going to be doing I've been a infrastructure sysadmin DevOps person for a long time. DevOps is my thing. I'm about to start building tons of things. Like I really like the freedom of like when you really know software, you can just do stuff. And there's a lot of cool projects that I want to build on here. Like maybe not, like there'll be things that we may never finish. Like we'll just do some streams and like we'll try to build this thing together. All open source stuff that people can contribute to. But I want to just build stuff and have some fun with it. So maybe I'll dive into Angular. Maybe I'll do a couple of streams where I'm trying to learn Angular and see what I can make. But I'm a grade A, garbage A front-end developer though. Like I'm real bad. But but I can manage. So I'm real bad in that, like, I have to look up every single thing, and it'll take me a long time to do things like center an image. But I will figure. I can figure it out. It'll just take me a long time. I am that bad, yo. I am that bad. I'm that bad. Definitely that bad. Like, I'm telling you, CSS is a problem for me, man. It's a problem. I mean, it makes sense at first. It makes sense when you're doing very simple stuff. It doesn't make sense when you add in all these frameworks like React. To me, I don't know. See, the Flexbox, all that stuff, man. Somebody said that to me one day. It was like, oh, you should just use Flexbox for that. I was like, look, man, don't be throwing random frameworks and things at me. I don't even know the basics of what I'm doing here. But I don't know. Tailwind CSS, easy to learn, understand. I'll check it out. I'll definitely check it out. I need to learn more. I want to be able to do the entirety of the app. I'm almost to where I'm capable of doing the entirety of an ugly application. The functionality will be great. It'll run excellent. It'll be well architected. All the backend infrastructure will be great. All that stuff will be good, but it'll be butt ugly on the front. So I want to kind of get good enough to. I want to be able to implement a design that's given to me. Like, that is, I cannot do that. I like an entire design. Like, I could do you give me like a box. I'll make the box. It'll take me a while, but I'll make that box. And give me a button. It'll be taking me a while, but I'll make that button. But I want to get somebody to build me a design and me to like actually have to implement that entire design. I think it will teach me a lot. I think that's part of the reason why I'm so afraid of it, afraid of CSS, because I've never had to use it a lot. And when I do run into it, it's problematic. What's up, Bible Clan member? Welcome tonight. We're wrapping up though. Sorry about that. Cool. It is, it's 11. I'm gonna let everybody go. Thanks everyone for tuning in tonight. I think tonight was good. I'm hoping you guys got a lot out of the past 2 sessions. I really like infrastructure as code stuff. I think that is where you really start to feel DevOpsy, when you get to the infrastructure as code things and you're using those to basically you're basically using those things to wrap up everything that we learned before here. We're now using these tools to kind of, actually for the DevOps section, to do all these things. Instead of running these Linux commands, we're doing them all through, networking and things like that. We're doing them all through Terraform and Ansible now. So this is exciting. But cool. I'm gonna go try to remember to get everything up on YouTube. I got a few other things to do. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. But yeah, that's it. Let's see who's on tonight. I have no idea who's on tonight. Prime again. We went to Dowright. We'll go over to Vape Juice Jordan. He came in with the big raid last time. Let's head over to Vape Juice Jordan. Everybody have a good night. Actually, go ahead and wait, because I'm gonna mistype this at least 5 times, like I do every single night. It's insanity. It's insanity. I can't type, but I'm gonna get it right for this time. Vape Juice Jordan. But cool. Everybody, good night. Yeah, that worked. Head over, say hi. I don't know what he's teaching. He's really good at JavaScript. He works at I think he works with the Prime again at Netflix, I think. I was doing a little research to find out. But cool. I'll see you all tomorrow or next week. Peace out.